welcome to the Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Science, Universitas Brawijaya. As a higher education institution, we have implemented an international standard learning system, which is equipped with various adequate facilities and infrastructure. We also have implemented a curriculum of Merdeka Belajar Kampus Merdeka that encourages students for being lead generation and contribute to current development. We produce various innovations that support industry and community welfare, especially in the fisheries and marine sectors. In addition, various national and international collaboration have been established and continue to be developed so that we are able to play a role as a part of world civilization.
Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Science consists of 3 departments. Total number of study programs is 10 study programs. Study Program of Fisheries Resource Utilization is a study program that provides education and learning about fisheries biology, fishery technology, and sustainability in fisheries management. Study Program of Fisheries Agribusiness and PSDKU Socioeconomic Fisheries have 3 main competencies are business and trade, fisheries social, and economics of fishery resource management. Study Program of Aquaculture and PSDKU Aquaculture have focus of study are fishery production, fish farming production, fish nutrition, and fish health and disease. Study Program of Marine Science offered 4 main competencies. There are oceanography, marine resource exploration, marine biotechnology, and conservation of coastal.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Jessica and I will be your master of the ceremony today. We are delighted to welcome you to the 2nd International Conference on Fisheries and Marine Research on Integrated Management for Sustainable Fisheries, presented by the Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Science, Brawijaya University, Indonesia. We would like to inform all the participants, speakers, and guests to turn on your camera and to turn off your microphone. Thank you. I give warm welcome to our Dean, the Dean of Fisheries and Marine Science Faculty, Professor Dr. Mahfud MS, Mr. Rizky Agung Lestariadi, SPI, MBA, PhD, as chairperson of this conference. It is an honor for me to introduce and to welcome our keynote speaker and our plenary speakers. Mr. Sakti Wahyu Trenggono as Minister of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, Republic of Indonesia, Dr. Suseno S as Senior Advisor CTC from Indonesia, Mr. Patrick Caleo as Director Asia Pacific MSc from Australia, Professor Ming-An from National Taiwan Ocean University, Taiwan, Professor Dr. Jose Peralta from the University of Philippines, Visayas, Philippines, Professor Rossita Shapawi from University Malaysia Sabah, Malaysia, Associate Professor Edi Susilo from Universitas Brawijaya, Indonesia. Also to other guest lecturers and the participants, welcome. This conference brings together academia, researchers, business entrepreneurs, practitioners, and policymakers who are responsible for delivering sustainable fisheries management through leveraging advanced information and technology. This conference provides a great opportunity for prospective participants to share their recent theoretical knowledge, research findings, and experiences in dealing with sustainable fisheries management. As such, this conference will feature presentations by international speakers, which are cutting-edge session topics. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to read out the agenda for this conference, which is the ongoing opening, followed by singing the national anthem of Indonesia, Indonesia Raya, then the report from the chairperson of this conference, opening and welcoming speech by the Dean of Fisheries and Marine Science Faculty, photo session, keynote speaker session, followed by plenary invited speaker session, question and answer session, certificate awarding session, and closing. For a brief moment, please sit quietly and we will listen to Indonesian anthem, Indonesia Raya. Thank you for your kind cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to listen to the reported speech delivered by the chairperson of this conference. Please welcome Mr. Rizky Agung Lestariadi, SPI, MBA, PhD. Mr. Rizky, the screen is yours.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Morning, everyone. On behalf of the organizing committee, I'm pleased to welcome you all to the second of International Conference of Fisheries and Marine Research 2021. First of all, I would like to extend my gratitude to the Rector of Universitas Brawijaya and Dean of Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Science, who have greatly supported the improvement of institution international performance and tremendous support for hosting the ICoFMR 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have the privilege of witnessing the second ICoFMR 2021 being held virtually, thanks to the development of information system and technology. The ICoFMR is the platform that provides a valuable opportunity for scientists, students, and decision makers to share their experience and expertise. Therefore, I'm grateful to our keynote speakers and many experts who have joined to us to share their knowledge. I hope you will enjoy today's conference and experience rewarding exchange during the online discussion and networking. And finally, I would like to sincerely thank to the organizing committee for their tremendous effort and support to make the conference happen. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Rizky, for the report. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to listen to the opening and welcoming speech delivered by the Dean of Fisheries and Marine Science Faculty. Please welcome Professor Dr. Mahtu M.M. Professor, the screen is yours.
Thank you, MC. Honorable Keynote Speaker, Minister of Marine Affairs of Fisheries, Honorable Invited Speaker, Dr. Suseno Sukoyono, Senior Advisor CTC, Mr. Patrick Caleo, Director Asia Pacific MSG, Professor Ming-An, Vice President of National Taiwan Ocean University, Professor Dr. Jose Peralta, UP Visayas, Philippines, Professor Rossita Shapawi, University Malaysia, Sabah, Associate Professor Edi Susilo, Socio-Economic, Fisheries and Marine, UB, Vice Dean of Fisheries Faculty and Marine Science Universitas Brawijaya, Head of all department, Head of all study program, Honorable College, Organizing Committee, and all of the participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, Indonesia, Australia, Malaysia, Philippines, and Taiwan. First of all, let us thank to Almighty God, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, for His blessing and preserving us with the good health. As Dean of Fisheries Faculty and Marine Science Universitas Brawijaya, I welcome you to this second international conference on fisheries and marine research, ICoFMR 2021, on November 4, 2021. The conference will take a theme as integrated management for sustainable fisheries. This ICoFMR 2021 come in a unique moment when all humanity has been forced to adapt to a new normal in order to restrict the spread of the COVID-19. The pandemic has made us to meet this international seminar virtually. Our reason to hold this event is the notable direct contribution toward an achievement of our target in international networking and collaboration. This international seminar will of course help us move closer to those targets, networking and collaboration. This achievement would not have been possible without the collective effort and collaboration of the various components of the fisheries and marine science academic community, with performing their strategic function with the diligent and strong will to success. This morning, the keynote speaker is Minister of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, Republic of Indonesia, who will talk about the latest issues and strategic plan in the marine and fisheries sector in Indonesia. And the invited speakers who are from and affiliated with the institution in Indonesia, Australia, Malaysia, Philippines, and Taiwan. Firstly, Dr. Suseno Sukoyono, Senior Advisor CTC. Secondly, Mr. Patrick Caleo, a Director Asia Pacific MSG. And then Professor Ming-An, a Vice President of National Taiwan Ocean University. Also, Professor Jose Peralta from UP Visayas, Philippines, and also Professor Rossita Shapawi from University Malaysia, Sabah, and also Associate Professor Edi Susilo from Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Science Universitas Brawijaya. On behalf of our faculty, I wish to express my gratitude to our keynote speaker and invited speaker today for their willingness to take part with us today and share their knowledge and experience. I believe they will provide inspiration and make a real contribution to the development of science and research in the field related to the fisheries, marine science, and its aspect. I hope this online conference will run smoothly and that you all will have an enjoyable day, discussion, learning, and networking with each other. Also, I wish to express my gratitude to all organizing committee who work hard so far and for their smart work to make this event finally become real today. I'm sure there are so many things which have been involved. On behalf of the institution, I apologize for any imperfection or inconvenience in this organization. Finally, by saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, we hereby officially open this second international conference in fisheries marine research, ICoFMR 2021, on the theme of integrated management for sustainable fisheries. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Stay healthy. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Professor, for opening this conference. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now the time for a photo session. So please turn on your camera and give your best portrait. This session will be conducted by the committee. For the committee, the screen is yours. Okay, thank you, committee, for conducting a photo session. We are honored to introduce our keynote speaker, the Minister of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, Republic of Indonesia. In fact, at this moment, our minister is attending G20 in Europe. Therefore, on this session will be represented by the Head of Marine and Fisheries Research and Human Resources Agency, Mr. Kusdiantoro. But before that, let me read out Mr. Kusdiantoro's curriculum vitae. He was born in Indramayu 10th of July 1977, and currently he is the head as well as secretary of Marine and Fisheries Research and Human Resources Agency. He is an alumni from Bogor Agricultural Institute, or famously known as IPB, and has published several publications such as, and this is the latest one, which is Sustainable Captive Fisheries Development Index. Without further ado, please welcome the Minister of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, Republic of Indonesia, represented by Mr. Kusdiantoro. Mr. Kusdiantoro, the screen is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, salam sejahtera, Om Swastiastu. Yang saya hormati Profesor Dr. Insinyur Maftu MSI selaku Dekan Fakultas Perikanan dan Ilmu Kelautan Universitas Brawijaya. Dear Master Patrick Caleo, Profesor Ming-An, Profesor Dr. Jos Peralta, Profesor Rossita Shapawi, Profesor Edi Susilo, dan Profesor Dr. Suseno Sukoyono selaku narasumber. Yang saya hormati para sivitas akademika Universitas Brawijaya dan seluruh peserta webinar yang berbahagia. Pertama-tama saya menyampaikan permohonan maaf dari Bapak Menteri Kelautan Perikanan yang tidak bisa berkesempatan hadir dalam kesempatan pagi ini karena beliau masih berada di COP26 dan juga menyampaikan salam hangat dari beliau untuk seluruh peserta webinar dalam kesempatan pagi ini. Dalam kesempatan pagi ini, saya ingin menyampaikan materi terkait dengan kebijakan pembangunan kelautan dan perikanan secara berkelanjutan dalam visi Indonesia 2045. Paparan saya awali dengan mengingatkan kembali akan potensi sumber daya kelautan dan perikanan yang dimiliki Indonesia, di mana Indonesia sudah kita ketahui bersama merupakan negara kepulauan terbesar di dunia. Indonesia memiliki 17.504 pulau dan juga sebagian besar atau 75% wilayahnya merupakan perairan. Dan itu menggambarkan bahwasanya kita adalah negara laut, negara pulau, sehingga kita harus bisa beradaptasi dengan kondisi perairan, kondisi wilayah Indonesia yang kita miliki bersama. Dengan garis pantai sepanjang 108.000 kilometer atau kedua terpanjang setelah Kanada, maka kita harus bisa mengoptimalkan posisi geografis dan potensi yang kita miliki dan kita sebut sebagai negara mega marine biodiversity karena kita memiliki lebih dari 8.500 spesies ya yang ada di laut maupun di perairan kita. Dengan melihat kondisi tersebut, maka kami melihat bahwasanya ada beberapa isu krusial yang akan dihadapi di dalam pembangunan kelautan perikanan sampai dengan 2045. Antara lain yaitu meningkatnya pertumbuhan penduduk yang menuntut adanya kebutuhan pangan yang terus meningkat. Kedua, adanya ancaman kelestarian lingkungan akibat adanya aktivitas ekonomi dan perubahan iklim. Ketiga, masih rendahnya kontribusi sektor kelautan dan perikanan terhadap PDB nasional. Dan keempat, yaitu masih adanya peluang pasar namun produktivitas dan daya saing Indonesia masih belum optimal di sektor kelautan dan perikanan. Juga adanya ketimpangan antara wilayah sumber produksi dan industri, adanya penerimaan negara yang belum seimbang dengan potensi yang kita miliki, serta kita masih didominasi oleh nelayan-nelayan kecil dalam pengelolaan sumber daya ikan. Sehingga kita harus melakukan suatu transformasi bagaimana kita bisa mengoptimalkan sumber daya kelautan dan perikanan yang kita miliki. Nah, salah satu yang akan kita dengungkan atau kita lakukan yaitu sebagaimana yang sudah disampaikan oleh Bapak Presiden dalam 2 kesempatan, beliau menyampaikan bahwasanya Indonesia merupakan negara terkaya dalam hal biodiversity laut, sehingga Indonesia harus bisa memanfaatkan secara bijak anugerah tersebut guna mensejahterakan rakyat dengan tetap menjaga alam dan keberlanjutan produksi. Sustainable Blue Economy menjadi agenda yang harus diprioritaskan di seluruh wilayah pantai yang kita miliki. Dalam kesempatan lain, Bapak Presiden juga sudah menyampaikan bagaimana kebijakan ekonomi biru harus mampu menopang pembangunan ekonomi Indonesia. Inilah menjadi dasar bahwasanya Blue Economy menjadi salah satu solusi untuk bisa mengatasi dan bagaimana bisa mengoptimalkan pengelolaan sumber daya ikan yang ada di wilayah Indonesia. Nah, di samping itu, kita juga melihat bahwasanya Indonesia merupakan bagian dari high level panel di dalam Sustainable Ocean Economy. Dengan banyak negara, kita punya komitmen bagaimana pengelolaan sumber daya laut dapat dilakukan secara berkelanjutan, memberikan manfaat besar kepada masyarakatnya, tanpa meninggalkan persoalan-persoalan setelah pemanfaatannya. Ini merupakan suatu komitmen bersama dan kita lakukan bagaimana penerapan ekonomi biru ini bisa menjadi mainstream di dalam pembangunan kelautan dan perikanan. Kita melihat bahwasanya ada beberapa potensi yang kita miliki di dalam sektor kelautan perikanan. Kita memiliki potensi untuk bisa menyerap 7 juta tenaga kerja, memberikan lebih dari 50% kebutuhan protein hewani untuk masyarakat Indonesia dan dunia. Juga kita melihat bahwasanya punya beberapa ekosistem yang mampu mengatasi beberapa permasalahan kerusakan ya, seperti terumbu karang, mangrove, dan lain sebagainya. Namun demikian ada beberapa tantangan yang harus kita hadapi, karena kita melihat bahwasanya masih banyak ya, hampir 38% dari perikanan tangkap laut masih dilakukan secara berlebihan, dan juga adanya keprihatinan dengan kondisi terumbu karang Indonesia, sampah laut, dan juga 50% dari mangrove dalam kondisi yang rusak. Nah, di dalam proses penerapan ekonomi biru setidaknya ada 8 sektor yang akan terkait, seperti perikanan, energi dan sumber daya mineral, transportasi laut, infrastruktur kelautan, wisata bahari, pesisir dan pulau-pulau kecil, sumber daya non-konvensional, dan industri dan bioteknologi. Nah, harapannya dengan adanya penerapan ekonomi biru dalam proses pengelolaan sumber daya kelautan dan perikanan, kita harapkan adanya laut yang sehat sehingga mampu memberikan pengelolaan secara berkelanjutan, adanya kesetaraan, mampu meningkatkan pertumbuhan ekonomi, dan adanya public awareness dari seluruh masyarakat Indonesia. Untuk menuju blue economy, di Kementerian Kelautan Perikanan sudah menyiapkan roadmap terkait dengan tahapan pembangunan kelautan dan perikanan di tahun 2021 sampai dengan 2045. Tahapan untuk 5 tahun pertama yaitu bagaimana pengelolaan kelautan perikanan yaitu pada tahap berkembang, kuat, tahap kedua kuat, 3 maju, 4 mandiri, dan pada tahap yang kelima 5 tahun terakhir yaitu kita akan menjadikan Indonesia sebagai pusat peradaban maritim dunia. Ini merupakan suatu komitmen, harapan, dan semangat yang dimiliki oleh Indonesia dengan melihat potensi dan posisi geografis saat ini. Nah, untuk tahap pertama yang akan dilakukan Indonesia, yaitu dalam hal ini Kementerian Kelautan Perikanan, kita sudah menetapkan prioritas Kementerian Kelautan Perikanan untuk tahun 2021 sampai dengan tahun 2024. Dengan melihat isu kesehatan laut, melihat isu pangan, isu biofarmasi laut, maka ada 3 program utama yang akan dilaksanakan. Pertama yaitu melaksanakan perikanan tangkap secara terukur, kedua melakukan perikanan budidaya secara terukur, ketiga yaitu pengembangan kampung budidaya yang berbasis pada kearifan lokal. Dari ketiga kebijakan tersebut, harapannya sumber daya kelautan dan perikanan dapat dikelola secara berkelanjutan dan mampu memberikan kesejahteraan bagi masyarakatnya. Untuk kebijakan perikanan tangkap terukur, tahapan filosofi yang kita ambil yaitu bagaimana kita melakukan pembatasan penangkapan ikan dengan dilakukan untuk menjaga jumlah stok dan ikan di laut. Kita melihat bahwasanya saat ini ya masih terdapat kebijakan-kebijakan yang kurang memperhatikan ekologi, sehingga perizinan masih sebatas sebagai pengendalian tanpa diimbangi dengan pemberian atau pengaturan kuota terhadap pelaku usaha perikanan. Sehingga pelaku usaha perikanan berlomba-lomba untuk melakukan penangkapan secara berlebihan yang mengakibatkan kegiatan perikanan mengalami lebih tangkap. Nah, untuk menuju ke sana, kita mengembangkan dengan perikanan tangkap terukur, kita harapkan adanya keberlanjutan. Dari keberlanjutan tersebut, maka kita berharap bahwasanya isu terkait dengan pengelolaan perikanan yang sama ini terjadi, yaitu illegal, unreported, unregulated, itu dapat kita ubah menjadi kegiatan yang bersifat legal, bersifat regulated, dan bersifat reported. Ini yang kita harapkan dengan adanya perikanan tangkap terukur, dan sebenarnya sudah terjadi di beberapa negara yang lain, ya, seperti Uni Eropa, Islandia, Kanada, Australia, dan Selandia Baru. Artinya, kebijakan perikanan tangkap terukur bukan hal yang baru bagi dunia perikanan. Dalam proses penerapan kebijakan penangkapan terukur Indonesia, maka dibangunlah pertimbangan bagaimana ekologi menjadi garda terdepan di dalam proses pengelolaan perikanan yang akan memberikan dampak secara ekonomi, sehingga perlu ada beberapa faktor pendorong. Pertama yaitu bagaimana kelestarian ekologi menjadi yang utama. Kedua, kita harus bisa memahami bahwasanya sumber daya ikan adalah milik bersama. Ketiga, bagaimana peningkatan produksi perikanan tangkap menjadi suatu peluang yang harus kita dapat manfaatkan. Dan keempat, yaitu bagaimana proses pengelolaan sumber daya ikan dilakukan secara berkelanjutan. Dan terakhir, akan memberikan impact untuk meningkatkan PNBP dari subsektor perikanan tangkap. Ada beberapa penerapan di dalam kebijakan perikanan tangkap yang diatur, ya. Pengaturannya menyangkut area, menyangkut kuota, menyangkut musim, alat tangkap, pelabuhan, ABK, suplai pasar, dan juga sistem kontrak untuk zona industri di beberapa WLPP yang sudah ditetapkan sebagai zona industri pengelolaan perikanan tangkap. Nah, dari semuanya ini kita berharap bahwa akan terdapat nilai optimum dan dampak dari kebijakan penangkapan yang dilakukan secara terukur, yaitu terciptanya ketahanan ekologi, terciptanya ketahanan ekonomi, dan terakhir yaitu terciptanya ketahanan sosial ekonomi. Nah, dampak yang kita harapkan ada 6 dampak. Pertama itu penyerapan tenaga kerja, kedua itu kemerataan distribusi, ketiga itu meningkatkan kesejahteraan masyarakat, keempat itu kemudahan dalam fish traceability, kelima itu meningkatkan PNBP, dan terakhir yaitu mampu meningkatkan kontribusi sektor ini terhadap perekonomian nasional. Ini kenapa kita lakukan, karena pada ujungnya pembangunan yang dari sektor kelautan perikanan mampu meningkatkan kesejahteraan bagi masyarakatnya. Nah, kalau dilihat dari zonanya, ini zona yang kita atur, ya, ada dari 11 WPP, ada sebanyak 7 WPP, 8 WPP itu sebagai zona industri, ada 3 WPP sebagai zona nelayan, ya, lokal, ya, dan 1 zona sebagai zona spawning ground. Nah, dari 8 WPP dibagi dari 8 WPP dibagi menjadi 4 zona. Zona 1 yaitu mencakup di 711, zona 2 yaitu di 716 dan 717, zona 3 yaitu di 715 dan 718, zona keempat yaitu di 571 dan 572 dan 573. Dari 11 zona juga kita tetapkan 1 zona sebagai daerah nursery ground, ya. Ini tidak ada kegiatan penangkapan yang dalam jumlah besar, hanya diperbolehkan untuk aktivitas nelayan kecil, ya. Dan juga di daerah zona industri tetap diberikan kesempatan untuk nelayan tetap melakukan aktivitas penangkapan sampai dengan 12 mil, ya. Dan kita harapkan ini memberikan kesempatan nelayan setempat untuk bisa mengakses, bisa mendapatkan benefit dari sumber daya yang ada di wilayah perairannya. Nah, dari total yang kita perbolehkan, kita harapkan dengan kebijakan ini mampu memperoleh nilai produksi yaitu sebesar 229,3 triliun. Selanjutnya terkait dengan rencana implementasinya ada dua hal yang kita lakukan, yaitu kuota industri, kedua itu kuota untuk nelayan dan rekreasi. Dari 2 kuota tersebut kita harapkan kuota industri diberikan dengan metode lelang terbuka, sedangkan untuk kuota nelayan lokal dan rekreasi akan diberikan pengaturan untuk kuota nelayan lokal khususnya yang memiliki KTP setempat, dan juga pengaturan untuk kuota untuk rekreasi yang selama ini tidak diberikan pengaturan, dan ini kita dibuat aturan sehingga mampu memberikan pendapatan juga buat negara dari aktivitas rekreasi memancing. Dan basis data yang kita gunakan tetap pada stock assessment yang ditetapkan oleh Komnas Kajiskan, sehingga JTB menjadi dasar dari pengelolaan sumber daya ikan, ya, baik itu untuk kuota industri maupun untuk nelayan kecil. Hingga harapannya dengan rencana implementasi penangkapan terukur di Indonesia tetap secara ekologi tetap terjaga, dan secara ekonomi juga kita mampu mendapatkan benefit, ya, buat negara maupun buat masyarakat itu sendiri. Nah, dari proses pengelolaan tadi kita harapkan ada multiplier effect di zona fishing industry, yaitu usaha penangkapan ikan kita akan prioritaskan kepada nelayan ABK setempat, ya, ada ABK lokal, ya. Kedua, adanya kegiatan pelabuhan yang modern dan bersih dan tertata secara baik, ya. Dan ketiga, adanya aktivitas di pelabuhan hidup, ya, baik itu bongkar muat, bahan bakar minyak, air bersih, dan lain sebagainya. Dan juga akan berkembangnya industri perikanan di daerah zona-zona industri, yaitu industri pengolahan ikan dan infrastruktur rantai dingin, serta adanya rantai logistik perikanan. Ini merupakan multiplier effect yang kita harapkan dari pengembangan, dari penerapan perikanan tangkap terukur, khususnya untuk pengembangan di zona fishing industry. Nah, untuk mendukung proses pelaksanaan perikanan tangkap terukur, Kementerian Kelautan Perikanan juga sudah menyiapkan bagaimana melakukan kegiatan sistem pengawasan yang dilakukan secara terintegrasi dan berbasis pada teknologi informasi. Ini sudah kita siapkan, insya Allah nanti awal tahun depan sudah bisa terlaksana dengan sistem satelit ya. Kita bisa melihat, memantau secara menyeluruh aktivitas-aktivitas yang ada di laut, sehingga semua kapal yang sudah diberikan izin terpantau aktivitasnya dan bisa dilihat apakah kuota yang sudah diberikan bisa dimanfaatkan dengan baik, dan untuk kapal-kapal yang melebihi kuota yang ditetapkan itu akan mendapatkan punishment dari Kementerian Kelautan Perikanan. Ini sistem yang kita bangun dengan sistem yang berbasis pada teknologi informasi, maka seluruh aktivitas di laut kita bisa terlihat secara langsung ya. Ada ruangan tersendiri, ruang kontrol yang mengawasi, melihat secara langsung aktivitas-aktivitas kapal di seluruh perairan Indonesia. Dan nanti secara cepat teman-teman di pengawasan akan bergerak ya, baik itu di laut maupun dengan sarana pesawat ya, untuk bisa melihat secara langsung dari pemantauan di satelit ya, untuk memberikan tindakan kepada pelaku usaha perikanan. Ini terkait dengan perikanan tangkap terukur. Kedua yaitu bagaimana terkait dengan kebijakan budidaya yang dilakukan secara terukur. Ini kita terapkan dengan mengambil 4 komoditas ya, yaitu udang, lobster, kepiting, rumput laut. Karena keempat komoditas tersebut merupakan komoditas unggulan di pasar dunia, keempat-empatnya memiliki tren yang positif dan menjadi kebutuhan yang perlu dipasok oleh seluruh negara. Jadi Indonesia mengambil kesempatan ini. Udang kita targetkan yaitu sebesar 2 juta ton pada tahun 2024 ya. Lobster juga punya peluang karena PBL sebelumnya. Lobster punya peluang karena sumber BBL terbanyak itu ada di Indonesia ya. Kepiting juga sekarang teknologinya sudah kita kembangkan, dan rumput laut sudah berjalan cukup baik budidayanya, dan bagaimana kita integrasikan dengan hilirnya. Nah, keempat komoditas ini kita harapkan bisa menguasai pasar dunia, dan Indonesia menjadi pemain utama dalam perikanan, khususnya di budidaya dari keempat komoditas tersebut. Nah, kita ambil untuk udang, ini contohnya. Jadi kita targetkan tadi di tahun 2024 yaitu kita targetkan sebesar 2 juta ton ya. Dengan melakukan beberapa langkah, kita melakukan evaluasi, kedua itu kita melakukan revitalisasi, dan kita melakukan modeling ya. Jadi dengan 3 langkah ini kita harapkan memberikan dampak yaitu adanya peningkatan produksi ya, ada peningkatan ekspor, ada peningkatan nilai tukar nelayan, dan adanya penyerapan tenaga kerja. Nah, bagaimana untuk bisa memperoleh target tersebut ya, target 2 juta ton, ini ada skema konsep revitalisasi yang sudah dilakukan oleh Kementerian Kelautan Perikanan. Ini kita sudah terapkan di 5 wilayah, yaitu di Kabupaten Aceh Timur, di Lampung Selatan, Sukamara, Buol, dan Cianjur. Dengan model klaster 5 hektar ya, dengan melakukan revitalisasi dari tambak tradisional menjadi tambak intensif ya, kita dorong ada pengaturan terkait dengan konstruksi tambak ya, ada penyediaan pompa, genset, dan lain sebagainya. Juga ada pengaturan terkait dengan operasional tambak tersebut. Sehingga kita harapkan dari revitalisasi tambak tersebut ya, di area model 5 klaster kita bisa meningkatkan adanya peningkatan produksi. Jadi dengan input ada intensifikasi, ada perbaikan sistem tambak, dan ada penyediaan teknologi tambak, kita harapkan mampu meningkatkan produksi udang ya. Jadi dalam 1 hektar yang biasa itu hanya 0,6 ton ya per hektar per tahun ya, kita dorong menjadi 30 ton per hektar per tahun. Dengan produksi yaitu untuk 5 hektar yang biasa 3 ton didorong menjadi 75 ton. Ini sudah dikembangkan di 5 lokasi menjadi percontohan di tahun 2020 ya, tahun 2021, dan ini akan dikembangkan di beberapa daerah yang lainnya, sehingga juga ini ada penyerapan yang biasa di 5 hektar itu hanya 3 orang, kita akan dorong menjadi 11 orang, ada penambahan tenaga kerja, dan juga ada peningkatan keuntungan dari kegiatan budidaya udang di tambak intensif ya, yang sebelumnya dari tradisional. Ini jadi tidak melakukan pembukaan tambak baru, tapi melakukan intensifikasi dari tambak-tambak yang sudah ada. Selanjutnya yang saat ini sedang kita dorong, lakukan di tahun 2022 ya, dimulai beberapa daerah sedang kita siapkan ya, yaitu bagaimana skema untuk pengembangan modeling tambak untuk di 1.000 hektar. Jadi ini bagaimana meningkatkan dengan teknologi yang saat ini sudah dikuasai dari tambak tradisional, kita dorong dengan teknologi supraintensif ya, ini bisa meningkatkan produksi udang. Jadi tambak-tambak kita tata, salurannya kita perbaiki, ada penyediaan tandon dan ipalnya, juga ada terkait dengan pengaturan kegiatan budidayanya, SDM-nya kita perbaiki, dan kita harapkan nanti ada dilengkapi dengan pabrik pakan di dalam area tersebut, mampu meningkatkan produksi udang ya. Jadi secara beberapa dari penerapan teknologi kita terapkan ya di Takalar dan di Maros ya, itu tak satu hektar itu sudah bisa menghasilkan 100 sampai dengan 120 ton per hektar produksinya dengan teknologi supra intensif. Jadi ini akan dikembangkan di beberapa daerah dan harapannya mampu mendorong peningkatan produksi udang nasional sehingga target 2 juta ton pada tahun 2024 ini bisa terrealisasi dan bisa menjadikan Indonesia sebagai pemain utama dalam penyediaan udang dunia. Kebijakan yang ketiga yaitu bagaimana kita mengembangkan kampung-kampung berbasis pada kearifan lokal. Ini ada 3 jenis kelompok kampung yang dikembangkan. Pertama itu kampung perikanan air tawar ya, kampung perikanan pesisir dan kampung perikanan di laut ya. Ada beberapa komunitas yang kita akan kembangkan. Jadi kebijakan ini kita harapkan mampu memperbaiki taraf hidup masyarakat ya, dan juga mampu mengatasi kepunahan beberapa ikan endemik ya. Jadi ada beberapa ikan endemik yang kita sudah lakukan domestifikasi seperti ikan dewa, ikan baung dan lain sebagainya. Selanjutnya ini kita kembangkan di desa, di kampung-kampung ya, baik itu di kampung air tawar ya, di pedalaman maupun pesisir dan laut ya. Ini kita dorong dengan pengembangan kampung ini, ekonomi di seluruh wilayah Indonesia di daerah kampung tersebut dapat bergerak, ada peningkatan pendapatan dan ada kontribusi buat daerah, sehingga kita harapkan perikanan menjadi peluang bisnis bagi seluruh rakyat Indonesia. Dari ketiga kebijakan tersebut bisa terlihat bahwasanya Kementerian Kelautan Perikanan punya komitmen yang besar bahwasanya pengelolaan sumber daya kelautan perikanan dilakukan secara berkelanjutan. Itu menjadi prioritas dan kita harapkan ada dukungan dari seluruh pihak termasuk dari Universitas Brawijaya agar ketiga kebijakan tersebut dapat kita implementasikan dengan baik ya. Itu yang mungkin dapat saya sampaikan. Mudah-mudahan ini menjadi gambaran bagaimana pengelolaan kelautan dan perikanan ke depan yang akan dilakukan oleh Kementerian Kelautan Perikanan dengan menempatkan isu keberlanjutan menjadi isu yang pokok dan kita pastikan bahwasanya masa depan kita ya dengan jumlah penduduk semakin banyak, penyediaan sumber daya ikan menjadi suatu kebutuhan untuk memenuhi kebutuhan hewani, protein hewani masyarakat Indonesia. Terima kasih. Saya akhiri. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Kusdiantoro, for delivering blue economy measures and reminding us that Indonesia has a lot of potential in terms of fisheries resources. Ladies and gentlemen, moving swiftly along to our main session, which is plenary invited speaker. We have 6 invited speakers, Dr. Suseno, Mr. Patrick, Professor Ming-An, Professor Jose Peralta, Professor Rossita Shapawi, and Associate Professor Edi Susilo. This session will be conducted by our moderator, Mrs. Wahyu Handayani, SPE, MBA, MP. But before that, allow me to read out Mrs. Wahyu's curriculum today. Mrs. Wahyu Handayani Kusdiantoro is a lecturer from Brawijaya University, and she also graduated from Brawijaya University and an alumnus from National Tengku University Science and Technology with agribusiness management major. She has published several journals such as The Effect of Gender and Ethnics on Economic Performance in Fishery Area, a case study at Sendang Biru Coastal Area, East Java, Indonesia. In the last 5 years, she has joined 26 seminars, symposiums, and conferences. Throughout her career, she has published 5 books, all related to fisheries topics. Without further ado, please welcome our moderator, Mrs. Wahyu Handayani, SPE, MBA, MP. Mrs. Wahyu, the screen is yours.
Okay, thank you, Jessica, for giving time for me and introduce me as moderator here. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, and Sabe Sata Bhavantu Sukitata. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Assalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya wal mursalin sayyidina wa maulana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Amma ba'du. My warm regard for all participants here, especially to the Dean of Fisheries and Marine Science Faculty, Professor Maftuh, with all academic staff, all lecturers here, and all administration staff at faculty, Mr. Rizky Agung Lestariadi, PhD, as a chairperson in this conference, and all the member of committee, all invited speakers in plenary session, Bapak Suseno, Mr. Patrick, Professor Lee, Mr. GP, Professor Rossita, Bapak Associate Professor, Bapak Edi Susilo, and from Buji. I will introduce later by read their curriculum vitae, and my best regard to all registered presenter at special topic. And last but not least, to all my lovely students here. It is very interesting for me to be moderator in plenary session in this conference, the second ICoFMR, International Conference on Fisheries and Marine Research 2021. Mr. Kusdiantoro, as representative of Ministry of Marine and Fisheries speech already presented very nice presentation to us, talk about concept, regulation, and all action about fisheries in order to make sustainable fisheries in Indonesia. Well, we talk about sustainable fisheries and it needs integrated management. We know that sustainable fisheries is very important for us, especially for the next generation, because if we not manage it as well as, they will lose everything. Okay, dear all, I will conduct this session from 9:30 to 12. About the time, I will divide time to 3 sessions. First, presentation by speakers. Each speakers has 20 minutes for presentation. Second, Q&A open to all participants. You can use raise hand feature if you want to talk direct to speakers. But if you want to write down, you can use chat room feature. Before you talk, I hope you introduce yourself, from where and who are you, like that. And then I will choose the question if you already write down in the chat room in the question and answer session. Okay, in order to make time effective, I will direct us to all invited plenary speakers to join in this session. The first speaker is Bapak Dr. Suseno Sukoyono. Okay, Bapak, are you already here? Halo? Halo, Bapak Suseno. Assalamualaikum, Bapak Suseno. Halo, committee? Or, okay, Bapak still mute.
I will go.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Bapak Suseno, I will to introduce you to participant. Bapak Suseno is a senior advisor in CTI Coral Triangle Initiative. Beliau, he is the most forward-thinking government official and marine professional. It's very important person in Indonesia about coral reef, of course. His willingness and interest to collaborate with neighbor countries in CTI are very important for many millions people, depending on the ocean in this part of the world, has been critical significance to the CTI. As a result of his work, financial and technical support has grown tremendously for Indonesia and the other city country to implement the program and the action. Okay, Bapak, this time is yours to present your presentation. I remind that 20 minutes. Okay.
20 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. Sorry that I'm using two laptops. So okay, thank you very much for the introduction made by the beautiful moderator. Thank you so much. Okay, then so once again, very good morning, everyone. It's great to see you all here, virtually, of course. Yeah, I enjoy very much the presentation and also the introductory remarks by the Dean. And yes, like introduced by the moderator, I'm Suseno Sukoyono. I have been 35 years serving in Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, Republic of Indonesia. And now I continue my services as a government officer in institutions called National Institution for Public Administration. So sorry, this is can you hear my voice clearly? Okay then, thank you very much. So yeah, so I was executive chair for Coral Triangle Initiative. I think it was starting 2010 and until 2012. And I like also to make a small correction. I'm no longer with the CTI, but now I'm also part of the family of Coral Triangle Center, CTC. It's a non-profit organization based in Bali. Yeah, I thank you, the conference organizer, the University of Brawijaya, for the invitation extended to me to speak in this strategic conference. Yeah, I also enjoy very much the presentation made by Dr. Kusdiantoro, I think the most important and prominent person in the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries. Yeah. And I like also to take this opportunity to express my appreciation to Professor Dr. Mahtu, Dean of Faculty of Marine Science, and his team for this excellent arrangement hosting this second conference. And I like to share my presentation. I hope you can see my presentation now. Okay, so I will make it very brief. Yeah, thank you once again for the invitation extended to me. And yep, this is basically about the message of my presentation. So my presentation, I'm so sorry about the sound. My presentation basically is about this, about the sustainable development and about the sustainability. This is two different things. Even in the software, it looks like the same. Sustainable development and sustainability. So this is about my presentation. I like to share with you. And at the end, I like to only kindly seek a guidance from all of you. So yes, when we're talking about the sustainable development and sustainability, we are definitely talking about these three important pillars. So we have this environment sustainability, food security. Basically, it's not only food security, but it's about social inclusiveness. And it's about the economic growth. And why I put the food security specifically here, because this is the, people tend to think that fish always intend to provide human for fish, for food. So basically, of course it's correct, but it's more than that. It's about the social inclusiveness. And the heart of these three pillars, if you see this diagram fan, it's always about people. So the heart of the Coral Triangle Center, the motto is inspiring people, serving ocean. Basically, it's always about the people. Managing ocean, managing coral reef, managing aquaculture, managing marine resources, basically is about managing people. We cannot walk alone. We need others. And my next slide, I like also to kindly share with you. This is in our law, Indonesian law on fisheries. When we are talking fish, in our law, it is clearly stated, fish means all kinds of organisms which are all or part of their cycle of life in water area, including coral reefs. Coral reef is life, you know. Coral reef is life. And this about the sustainable development. We're talking about sustainable development. I believe we are all very much aware about this definition. It's about, I'm so sorry. I think we have some situation. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry for the interruption. I hope you can hear me better now. I have some internet stability situation. Yeah, you see that this is a Brundtland Commission definition about the sustainable development. It's about the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs, to meet our own needs. But we have, like the moderator mentioned, the important thing that she mentioned, reminding us, is about the future generation. They have also their needs, not only us. And we need also to think to maximizing the ecosystem benefit, but at the same time, not degrading the system to the extent to the benefits cannot be sustained. So basically, the sustainable development is a way, is a tools to achieve sustainability
So yeah, I like to continue my with my next slide. I hope you can see this is a problem with my slide. I have to go back. So sorry for this. Yeah, now you know my secret then. So this is the, yes, when we are talking integrated management for sustainable fisheries, the topic here, this is the important, very important topic we have here. And this very much important topic is basically dealing with the integrated approach. It's about balancing. It's about the balancing, harmonizing human and ecological well-being. Allow adaptive management, leading to more effective planning. I learned from Dr. Kusdiantoro presentation. It's about this. This is the important message from the ministry about the allowing adaptive management, leading to more effective planning. And the most important thing we have to bear in mind, we never ever walk alone. So we need to have the involvement of others, especially the stakeholders participation. And yes, this is about the coral reef, about the sustainable coral reef management. As I mentioned, that fish in Indonesian law is also including coral reefs. So Indonesia is quite lucky, fortunate. We've been supported by many countries, our partners, and we've been able with the partners, with other sponsor country, to come up with resolution 221, 2/21 on sustainable coral reef management. It was adopted, agreed during the United Nations Environmental Assembly. So this is the resolution. Not only one, we come up Indonesia with other sponsoring country. We come up with another resolution. It's still about sustainable coral reef management, including fish. And yes, we know that 40% of the world tropical fisheries are likely to disappear. Should coral disappear? So this is the importance of the coral reef. And this is also why Coral Triangle Center is present today. Yeah, it was me in Nairobi, and this is I know this is you are very much aware about this famous gentleman, Mr. Eric Solheim, the 6th UN Environment Executive Director, and also Under Secretary General of the United Nations at that time. So we've been able to come up with a collaboration to support Indonesia and to support to other countries when it's come to the ocean sustainability. I like to come up with this Coral Triangle Center. Coral Triangle Center is the epicenter, not only coral reef, but it's about the 500 marine fish species living in that particular area. I know some of you or all of you may aware of this situation. And that because of the existence of the coral reef. It's about 1,000 species of coral reefs here. And Indonesia is the epicenter of this coral triangle. Together with other 5 countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Timor-Leste, Papua New Guinea, and Solomon Island. We formed what's called the Coral Triangle Initiative. It was in 2009 and was officially announced by the former President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono and with other 5 leaders from 5 member countries. And this is about the CTC. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, that the heart of the three pillars of sustainability is a people. And as I mentioned earlier, that managing fisheries, including coral reef, including the business in the coral reef and fisheries, is about managing people. And the heart of the CTC is people. Is people working in harmony with environment for economic growth based on social inclusiveness. And the vision of the CTC is CTC and vision health disease that enrich people and nature. And the mission is to inspire and train generation to care for coastal and marine ecosystem. And the value, we put people, local people, the most important safeguard people, local people living in the coastal area. So the value is excellent local stewardship collaboration result. So this is the most important thing for CTC, is about the people, and it's about stewardship, fostering people. And yeah, it's quite narcissist. This is me. So I've been involved in the CTC since 2010. And this is when we try to come up with the local people, local government, and also local NGO. 2013, and when I was still in the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, we come up with the, with the reference that the Coral Triangle Center as a center, excellent center for marine conservation. And at that time, it was, how should I say? It was officially declared by Minister Syarif Cecep Sutarjo. And 2007, we managed also in the CTC to come up with the larger, more and more people participation. And 2018, we've been able to come up with a new center with the new facilities. This is attending by, as you may see, a representative from the Malta, representative from the United States, Australia, and myself. And this is when we've been together in Manila to promote the importance of women, the role of women in the fisheries business. And this is about the Ocean Legacy Award. So the CTC also granted, appreciate people, recognize their involvement, and appreciate them, acknowledge them, and also give them awards. And the next one, I like also to see the human capital is a very important. And I like to little bit introduce you about the Coral Triangle Center. Coral Triangle Center is named after Coral Triangle region. As I mentioned earlier, that this Coral Triangle is covering 6 countries in the region, and they form the Coral Triangle. And Coral Triangle is well known widely and worldwide, known as epicentrum of marine biodiversity because of this rich coral reef species and also marine fish species. And as I mentioned earlier, that despite of the Coral Triangle significant value, actually the coral reef ecosystem of the Coral Triangle are among the most threatened in the world. Approximately 95% are at risk. Overfishing has affected almost every reef in the region. Destructive fishing practices are very common. Land-based pollution is significant. Coastal development is a growing threat. And the growing threat from the climate change and ocean acidification is also compound this problem. And with that, CTC is dedicated its program to build a local capacity for long-term marine conservation. CTC has education program, training program for local community, support local government, as well as NGO, dive operators, and other stakeholders to provide training and information on how to better care for coral reef ecosystem. So this is what we've been doing, the CTC been doing, conservation on the ground. We translated from words to action. So this is what we've been doing. And you see it's quite a massive activities in Nusa Penida for MPA, and also in Likuika MPA. We have also in Atauro MPA. We have also Lis MPA and Banda Island MPA network, Sula MPA, and Buano MPA. So the activities conservation on the ground is not only in Indonesia, but also in other countries. And we like also to share with you about what we've been doing in Indonesia in terms of fisheries scope of work. Like mentioned by Dr. Kusdiantoro, this is very much, the activity of CTC is very much in line and basically support the government policy. Just for example, we provided capacity building support to blue swimming crab management body. So for blue swimming crab, we also establish and also encourage people to manage sustainably through the management body for blue swimming crab, and also to increase women fisher roles and blue swimming crab in Lampung. And this is in cooperation with other organizations, EDF and SR. And also with regard to the national fisheries management area, Indonesia has 11 fisheries management area. So CTC working in the 3 fisheries management area, fisheries management area 212, 712, 714, and 715. It's about the capacity building, support for fisheries management area, and to set up and strengthen the Fisheries Management Council through Fisheries Management Area Management Body. And in the local Arafura, we also, CTC also working together for small-scale sustainable fisheries capacity building, and also in the Maluku, Banda Island, on capacity building for sustainable snapper fisheries. And yes, it's about the capacity building been doing by CTC, offline and online. During the pandemic, we go the offline, but it's also go we blended with the online and also classical face-to-face. So it's about the community organizing and facilitation, management of organization and communication. This is the most important thing, communication. Communication is top priority when we are dealing with the people, especially with the stakeholders. Stakeholders, when I mention stakeholders, it's not only necessarily local people at grassroots people. No, stakeholder is always about everyone involved in the fisheries management, including the senior rank officer in the government, not only in the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, in other ministry. Important. So this is important, not only to educate local people, provincial level, but also to educate other people, decision-making officer people. Very important to make them understand about the fish, about the fisheries, about the management, about sustainability. And the most important thing is about how we can provide food for the next generation from fisheries. And team building is important. Again, communication and leadership, fisheries governance, and EFM, ecosystem approach to fisheries management. This is important tools when we come to integrated management. We do also the capacity building, training needs assessment for blue swimming crab committee, for blue swimming crab women fisher, and for fisheries management council. And we do also focus group discussion on fisheries issue, fisheries committee annual meeting, and fisheries action plan development together with the stakeholders. So I like also to kindly share with you, this is that CTC been able to obtain several, not only appreciation, recognition, but also acknowledgement and also certification. CTC is a certified marine and fisheries independent training center since 2012. And from 2012 until 2020, CTC been conducted 251 training sessions attended by more than 5,000 participants. And CTC, this is about the certified marine independent training. And CTC is also obtained certified professional competency assessment center since 2015. It's about the competency assessment. And CTC also facilitated the establishment of national standard for working competency. So it's about marine tourism and the MPA, outreach, this is the most important one, outreach in MPA, and coastal resource monitoring and evaluation. Yeah, this is about the women fishers training. So CTC, in collaboration with other stakeholders, with other organizations to train women on blue swimming crab, fisher group in Lampung, as I mentioned earlier, and also provide a venue for women fishers to voice their observation of resource management. Women is always important. You know, in Indonesia, it's goes with this saying, husband maybe is leaders in the household, but woman is the neck. Remember, husband is the head, woman is the neck. So woman is always important in Indonesia, not only in the fisheries, but also in our livelihood and daily life. And the next one is about the comprehensive knowledge and skill training. So the women group will be able to speak their ideas. We need to capture their idea. And also, they may change the resources and their villages because they've been able to share their experience and lesson learned. And I like to come up with this one for blue swimming crab. Blue swimming crab in Indonesia called rajungan. And this is the acknowledged juara. Juara means champion in English. It's about the champion. How we come up with the idea to learn from each other, to come up with the local champion when it comes to sustainable blue swimming crab fisheries in Indonesia. And yeah, in the field, we also working with other program and other partners like a CNET project about the empowering fishing communities in Maluku and also in Papua, and supporting the implementation of fisheries management plan, improving livelihood for local women, waste recycling program for abandoned and discard net. This is the most emerging issue at sea, abandoned and discard fishing net. And yes, I know that we have a distinguished speaker from Marine Steward Council. We've been together with the Marine Steward Council, and we like to learn more from Marine Steward Council. is about the activities in Bandasi for snapper, grouper fisheries, and also for the training level 1, chain of custody for Banda fisheries stakeholders. Once again, thank you very much. And to conclude, I like to not to emphasize, just to give some a little further detail about the in brief about the Coral Triangle Center. Coral Triangle Center is a non-profit organization based in Bali, established in 2010, and CTC provides education, training, and make sure that marine protected area within the Coral Triangle, the world epicentrum of marine biodiversity, are managed effectively. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bapak Suseno. It's very, very impressive presentation. I like the how to say, we never ever walk alone. Okay, this is very important for us, that we need manage together, we need work together, and the main point, women is always important. This is my study area too, about gender especially. So I know why the women is so important, not only for how to say, not only for how to say education or something, but for everything, women is very important.
Yes, I
Yesterday
100%
we talk about,
agree with you. 1000%. 1000%
yesterday
agree.
with yesterday we make a kidding with others. Women always right. Okay.
Yes, yes, women always right.
Right or wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Woman is the boss.
in the right session.
Yeah, woman is always the boss.
Okay.
In my case, that's happened.
Okay,
thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much for the impressive presentation. And then to make time effective, I call Mr. Patrick Caleo as a Director Asia Pacific, MSC, Marine Stewardship Council. Okay, Mr. Suseno, thank you so much for your coming, and then we second presentation.
Most welcome. And thank you for this opportunity. So now I can see the handsome face of Mr. Patrick. Hi, Pak Patrick. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Before the presentation of Mr. Patrick, I will read the curriculum vitae, short curriculum vitae. Mr. Patrick is Director in Asia Pacific MSC in Sydney, Australia. He got bachelor degree from Australian Maritime College and so on. And now about MNC is an international non-profit organization. I think like CTC, Mr. Suseno, but maybe in different concept or something else. They recognize and reward effort to protect ocean and safeguard seafood supplies for the future. Okay, Mr. Patrick, time is yours. And
thank you. And good,
okay.
thank you and good morning. Hopefully you can hear me okay. It's my great pleasure to join you all here for today's conference. And it's very unfortunate we can't gather in person and I have to dial in from Sydney, but I wore my actual favorite batik shirt to help me feel I'm there with you in Indonesia. And hopefully next things will return to normal and we can all meet in person and share ideas in person once again. Just bear with me. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully you can see that now.
Yes, we can see it.
As mentioned, my name is Patrick and I have the privilege of leading MSc in the Asia Pacific, which I must say is one of the most exciting yet challenging parts of the world when it comes to discussions about sustainable fishing. Within the region, MSC has offices in Australia, Japan, China, South Korea, Singapore, and of course here in Indonesia as well. In today's presentation, I'm going to quickly introduce the MSc program. I want to explain to you what the MSc is and who we are. I'll talk about some of the issues our oceans face, including the impact on climate change and its effect on fishing. And I'll talk a little bit about the MSc's progress around the world and our work in Indonesia. At the end, I'm going to provide you some of my thoughts about what we can all do together to help secure fisheries sustainability well into the future. So MSc is an international non-profit organisation, as you said. We were set up in the late 90s in a bid to address issues associated with overfishing and unsustainable practices. The idea was to try and complement the work that NGOs and governments and the fishers themselves are doing to improve fishery sustainability. And the solution they decided on was to help or to develop a market-based program that incentivized best practice by recognizing rewards and rewarding those that could demonstrate they were managing the fisheries sustainably. So MSc's vision is split in two parts. We want to see the world's oceans teeming with life. So this talks to our conservation objectives. But we're equally about seafood supplies safeguarded for this and for future generations. So it's really important to understand, as an organisation, MSc is pro-fishing and we're pro-seafood. We just want it done on a sustainable basis so we can improve the outcomes for livelihoods and the environment for future generations to enjoy along with our own. So what are some of the challenges? The latest figures from the United Nations FAO's Sophia report showed that more than a third of global fish stocks have been exploited beyond their sustainable limits. And unfortunately, this figure is slowly getting worse. Seafood consumption has risen by 122% in the past 30 years. And as the population grows and people's wealth grows, demand for fish and seafood continues to grow. And we can see this, what's happened in China in the past few years. We've got billions of people around the world that rely on fish and seafood for their food security and for their livelihoods. And this exacerbates the already daunting task of trying to feed a global population that will be pushing 10 billion a generation from now. When you combine the effects of overfishing with pollution, global warming, increased acidification of our oceans, and habitat destructions, our oceans are under more pressure than ever before. It's not all bad news, however. The FAO tells us that those fisheries where there's comprehensive fisheries management in place, these stocks are improving, but it's those without the basics of good fisheries management that remain in decline. This tells a positive story to me. This tells me the problem is fixable, and we've seen it. With strong management, the problem of overfishing can be addressed. In Australia and in Canada, and places like New Zealand, we've had a history of overfishing, but through good management, we're now seeing biomass improve in those countries. So there's a solution there. As we all know, oceans play a major role in climate dynamics, absorbing about 93% of the heat that accumulates in the Earth's atmosphere, and about a quarter of the carbon dioxide released from fossil fuels. Climate change is happening now. It's increasing ocean temperatures, increasing acidification and deoxygenation, I should say, as well as changing ocean currents. Marine heat waves are estimated to increase by more than 50% in the past 30 years, and often result in localized decline in marine life. You may have all seen images of coral bleaching on the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. I'm sure you've had similar incidents in Indonesia. But these problems aren't just restricted to the reef. In Australia, we're seeing increasing heat waves events across the country. These have had huge devastations on scallops and other crustaceans in the bays and inlets around Australia, but also on our freshwater systems as well. If temperatures continue to rise, the frequency and severity of these events will only increase. Changes to ocean environments will mean changes to fish stocks as they respond to temperatures and the availability of food and predation. And to manage fishing sustainability means we need to be able to adapt to whatever issues climate change throws at us. Shifting ocean currents and warming waters are already changing the distribution of fish stocks and altering the structure of ecosystems. Research tells us that in high latitudes, such as North Atlantic and North Pacific, we're seeing increase in the range of some species. And we're seeing this in the Atlantic in regards to the movement of mackerel, herring, and blue whiting. This is resulting in new fishing opportunities for some, but areas in the tropics, they're predicted to see significant declines in potential seafood catches, with some estimates of up to 40% by 2050. So it's going to have a strong impact on places like Indonesia and Australia. These changes have a knock-on effect on the structure and productivity of marine ecosystem. They also present a major challenge to business, economies, and communities rely on fishing for their livelihoods and for their nutrition. With fish providing about 17% of animal protein consumed globally, accounting for more than 140 billion in international trade, this is both an environmental crisis and a human crisis, we just can't ignore. So to be able to adapt to climate change, we need greater collaboration and more precaution, and we need it on a global scale. It sounds very simple, but it's something that's proving really difficult to execute. Responding to climate change will require governments, the fishing industry, fisheries managers to collaborate on an international scale in a way we've never done before. We need to take a precautionary approach to setting catches and to evolve practices to reflect changing scientific advice and migration patterns. So we need to be flexible. We need to listen more to what the scientists tell us and get better at adapting our management to responding to changes in the environment. This diagram illustrates how consumers and business choices for MSC can lead to improved outcomes for our oceans. The first thing to understand about the MSC program is its voluntaries. Fisheries must stick their hands up and volunteer to be assessed. A team of auditors, usually made up of 3 scientists with relevant expertise, then go in and review all aspects of the fisheries performance. This is a 12-month rigorous and transparent process that encourages stakeholder participation and has the results peer-reviewed by scientists. And at the end, there's an objection process to resolve any disputes. If the fishery passes and can maintain their products within the certified supply chain, with chain of custody, they can earn the right to use the MSC Eco label on those products that got certified. Once those products carry the Eco label, MSC and its partners encourage businesses and consumers to choose products that carry the logo. These choices then reward fishers that have gone through the efforts to achieve certification and encourage other fishers to make improvements to their fishery so they too can access the program and the benefits it provides. It's these improvements that are made by fishers as they prepare for assessment and those that are made through the course's certification that directly benefit the fish stocks and the ecosystems on which they rely. At the heart of our program is our Fisheries Standard, and there's 3 principles: sustainability of the stock, ecosystem impacts, and effective management, meaning that fisheries that have achieved certification have been able to demonstrate that they operate in a way that allows fishing to continue forever, essentially, and they're able to maintain the structure, productivity, and function and diversity of the ecosystem in which that fishery relies, and that they meet all local, national, and international laws and have an effective system of management in place. So it's really quite a brave move to undertake an MSC assessment and put your fishery under the scrutiny of a sort of third-party review process. So when fisheries do pass the MSC assessment process, we believe they deserve to be certified, and this is what we aim to do. MSC's certification program is the only wild capture fisheries certification to meet best practice requirements set by both the UN FAO and ICIL, which is a global membership association for sustainability standards. The MSC standard is the core of the framework. Those 3 principles I mentioned, sustainability of stock, ecosystem, and effective management, are defined by 28 performance indicators and provide the basis for comprehensive assessment of fishery sustainability and its environmental impact. Meaning that fisheries that achieve certification have really been able to demonstrate they will operate in a way that allows fishing to continue indefinitely and then maintaining the structure, function of that ecosystem. I'm just going to pause for a second to show you a video. It's a very simple video, but it provides a real clear explanation of why sustainability is so important and how the program works. So fingers crossed that this works and you can all hear me. Please nod if you can.
People have relied on the oceans as a source of food and for their livelihoods for thousands of years. As technology has advanced, we have become capable of fishing more intensively. So looking after the oceans and the resources they provide is more important now than ever before. If the oceans are to be healthy, productive and full of fish in the future, we have to fish sustainably. Sustainable fishing reduces environmental impacts, leaves more fish in the sea and harms fewer marine animals. Sustainable fisheries have good management practices. The Marine Stewardship Council standard allows fisheries to show that they are well managed and that they fish in a sustainable way. The MSC uses its blue eco-label to identify seafood that has come from sustainable fisheries certified to its standard. The eco-label is already displayed on tens of thousands of products in over 100 countries around the world. Consumers who want to play their part in maintaining and improving the health of the oceans can look for and choose seafood with a distinctive blue MSC eco-label. It is vital that we safeguard the ocean's resources and protect people's livelihoods for the future. To do this, we need to work together.
In spite of the disruptions and difficulties caused by the global pandemic, the seafood industry has demonstrated remarkable resilience. In fact, hardly rolled back on any commitments to sustainability in last year. In fact, I'd probably say the focus on improving the health of our oceans has only gotten stronger in the last year. To date, we have some 516 fisheries certified or undergoing MSC assessment, equating to about 19% of the world's wild capture fisheries landings. There's some 20,000 products being sold in 63 countries that carry the eco label, and well over 100 companies around the world have made commitments to source MSC. There's some 46,000 chain of custody approved organisations across the world, including really big brands and retailers like IKEA, McDonald's, and many others. So they're now buying and selling MSC certified products. What we're seeing is a global movement and adoption of sustainable sourcing and a shift towards more sustainable practices, which is brilliant. But what we need to do now is accelerate that change. As many of you would well know, the Sustainable Development Goals provide a shared vision of the future and a framework to guide governments, industry, and non-profit organisations like the MSC, as well as the entire global community in ways of working together for a better world. MSC certification is used by countries and organisations as part of their commitments towards delivering SDG 14, life below the water. So when a business commits to delivering SDG 14, they commit to working to end overfishing, restore fish stocks, protect ecosystems, eliminate illegal, unreported, unregulated fishing. And the SDGs are providing a really good tool to drive commitments and progress towards our oceans. We're even seeing many non-seafood companies in places like Japan, for instance, commit to addressing SDG 14 by adopting the MSC chain of custody program and providing certified seafood in workplace campaigns. So even though they're not a seller of seafood or a buyer of seafood as such, they're still adopting chain of custody to address SDG 14. This includes big companies like Panasonic, Yamaha, Coca-Cola, and many others as well. To support fisheries and researchers committed to improvement, we developed our Ocean Stewardship Fund, which aims to support scientists and environmentalists working with fisheries to deliver the improvements needed to achieve a global best practice. So 5% of royalties from MSC license fees are reinvested into the fund. So far, there's been £1.3 million already awarded. And if you're a researcher or from fishery looking to make improvements, I'd really encourage you to jump online and have a look at the requirements. And if you think they suit your cause, I encourage you to talk to one of the MSC team in Indonesia about your options. In regards to our work in Indonesia, the MSC team undertakes a huge diversity of work in support of fisheries wishing to improve. This work covers our general approach and communications to fisheries and their supply chains. So it's about the requirements of the MSc program and also about the tools available to support fisheries improve. But it goes way beyond that. We also support stakeholders apply to that Ocean Stewardship Fund, as I just mentioned. The team organises capacity building training sessions to help build stakeholder knowledge. And they also provide support and development of credible FIPS, which are fishery improvement programs, and access to things like our ITM program, in transition to MSc, it stands for. Core to all this work, however, is MSc's Pathway projects and our strong collaboration with the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries. The Pathways projects are designed to help groups of fisheries gain a base understanding of their sustainability performance, identify any gaps, and then guide them in the actions they need to undertake to address any gaps. Pathways projects are done in collaboration with the regional advisory groups, which in Indonesia's case is made up of market partners, government officials, scientists, the fishing industry, and NGOs. And their role is to help select fisheries, to participate in the project, as well as to guide and steer them towards what needs to be done to improve performance and achieve the goals they set. At the end of this process, the action plan development stage, selected fisheries can then work on improvements to position themselves at a level where MSc assessment and certification becomes a possibility. What's really pleasing to see is that MSc's work in Indonesia is being recognised by MMAF and other key stakeholders as providing a valuable contribution to the overall improvement efforts. As a result of our work in Indonesia, a number of priority fisheries have been identified. These include blue swimming crab, mud crab, white prawn, spot prawn, squid, short-bodied mackerel, anchovy, snapper groper, skipjack, and yellowfin tuna. And it's hoped that some of these fisheries may be in a position to enter assessment as early as next year, which is really a fantastic achievement. And if they're successful in achieving MSc, they too will be able to benefit from the growing market demand for sustainable caught and the support of MSc's program and their partners. The market plays such an incredible important role in stimulating improvements, with overseas buyers interested in sustainability already starting to notice Indonesian fisheries and their work towards improvement. This is really important. Fishers need to understand their hard work and their investments will be rewarded. Governments play an incredibly important role. I would say they play a key role in this, in facilitating the improvement of fisheries, and it's great to see MMAF taking that leadership role in the region. Not only are those supporting fishers access the program, make improvements, but they're looking to adopt credible FIPS concepts across the country, which is really incredible. I can tell you this work is being noticed by other countries in the region, and we'll soon be looking to encourage others in Southeast Asia to follow Indonesia's lead, which is fantastic. Only by ensuring fisheries have effective monitoring and management in place to reduce the impacts and only catch what is sustainable, will we be able to balance both economic and environmental priorities to safeguard our oceans and seafood for future generations to enjoy. MSc learned a long time ago that the problem with our oceans is not something we can solve alone. It's something that only can be achieved through collaboration and a lot of hard work. In fact, we believe everyone has a role to play. If you're an academic, a student, a fisher, or just involved in seafood supply chains, I would encourage you to embrace the concept of seafood sustainability with us and work alongside MSc and many other supporting stakeholders to secure this future full of fish for all of us. And even if you're not directly involved in the seafood industry, not to worry. The beauty of the program is it gives everyone an opportunity to participate. So even if you're just a consumer of seafood, all you need to do is look for an MSc certified product. That very simple choice rewards those in the supply chain, and those in the water that have gone to the hard work to ensure the practices are sustainable and traceable. Thank you very much. I really hope you've enjoyed the presentation. If you'd like to know more about the MSc program or wish to engage with MSc on further discussions about sustainability or how to prepare fisheries adapt to climate change, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or to one of my colleagues from the MSc team in Indonesia. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Patrick. Very, very impressive presentation. I think mostly similar with Pak Suseno about okay, let we do together in for future. We never ever work alone, and collaborative is very important. If the object in Mr. Suseno CTC is about coral and fish at all like that, but for Mr. Patrick is especially about the fish at all, maybe about for food or something else like that. Encourage people how to make eco-labeling by cities. I'm sorry, MSC, right? Okay, very nice, and that is very safe, I think, because now in the community, we know that so dangerous. How to say? Like for make food longer in life, so we must take how to give something poisons to the food like it's very dangerous for us, but if we get a label for food, this is safe for our life. Okay, thank you, Mr. Patrick, for the impressive presentation, and maybe next we will make how to say collaborative between all of the speakers here. Okay, next speakers I call Professor Rossita. Sorry, I'm sorry. Professor Ming-An. Hello, Professor Ming-An. Are you there? Hello, Professor. Professor Ming-An, can you hear my voice?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
While you prepare your presentation, I will read your short curriculum vitae. Professor Ming-An is a lecturer in National Taiwan Ocean University, Taiwan. As a vice president since 2020 until now, and start to be professor at 1995 August in Department of Fisheries Science, National Taiwan Ocean University, Kelung. Okay, about the research field, about adaptation of fishery oceanography due to climate change, communities-based social ecological system, climate change and fisheries oceanography, habitat modeling for marine life, oceanic remote sensing application, and so on. About his experience, he already become Vice President in Pan-Oceanic Remote Sensing Conference, POPRSEC Association since 2016, November. In other hand, he is an editor-in-chief the Journal of Fisheries Society Taiwan. This is very important for academic environment. Journal. Okay. The other hand, he is a president in Taiwan Fisheries Sustainable Development Association, president in Taiwan Group of Earth Observation, and professor and dean of College of Ocean Science Research, COSAR. COSER from 2008 until 2014 and so on. Okay, very long curriculum vitae if I said it all. But let me talk about your award. Your award is so Excellent Mentor Award in 2018. Platinum Award. Okay, very nice. Maybe you can talk about that later, about your award and what is the benefit by award and so on. Okay, in order to make time effective, the screen is yours, the time is yours, Professor Lee.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. Did you see my screen already upload?
Okay, already seen.
Okay, and I will full screen. And
Okay.
okay, thank you. And today I would like to share my experience about the actually it's fishery oceanographic. Last 2 weeks I already joined the 301 fisheries oceanographic lecture. So today I joined this ICoFMR's conference for sustainable fishery. After the last two speakers, Dr. Suseno and Patrick, actually they talk about the sustainable development goals. Today, my topic also maybe related to that, like the climate change. So I try to use the alpaca tuna for example to do something to introduce you what's happened when the habitat shift may be influenced by the climate change. And this slide is briefly to introduce the alpaca. Alpaca is a kind of a long fin tuna. It's a well-known maybe a source of can industry for like this slide in the right lower panel. This is the alpaca's canid. Maybe Patrick's last slide is we do together. That canid maybe source is alpaca. Another is I would like to show talk about alpaca is also very important fish. Maybe it's commercial and recreational fishery in temperate and the tropical waters. Based on our Taiwan fisheries data, actually we have 5 major fisheries ground, like the left panel or figures, high CPV. First, the fishery data is actually can conduct from the 1960s. Today, I will focus on climate change, like the right upper panel. You can see this is the climate change issues conduct from the IPCC AR. So climate change maybe is actually is impact to we can follow the last two speakers talk about the sustainable development goals. So this and the 12, and we also have a link to the 7. Actually, this data is conducted from the Fisheries Council and the Fisheries Agency, and the fishery include some fishery academic scientists. So this object will be try to identify the spatial habitat distribution of alpaca using the habitat suitability index module. And based on this module, we hope to identify the impact of climate change on the habitat shift in the southern Indian Ocean. So we use the fishery data from the Development Council. We FTC, they collect the fishery number, year, month, day, catch, and the fishing location from the 1998 to 2016, and we transfer our data to search per unit effort. And this data also the standardization by using general linear regression. Sensing data and to the mixed layer depth and the AD and table to AMN, GMN, and the CPN, 3 different modules, try to build up the best module for predict the habitat. And based on this habitat model, we try to compare, try to predict the habitat in 2035 and 50 at the different climate module, RCP 2.6 and 825 on controlled scenario in 2010 and 2100. So our results is show our spatial distribution of Abaco CPV like this slide. Actually, we can find there's the domain, the fishing ground or the spatial distribution will be focused on the 30 to 40 degree south. And we can try to do the habitat model using the AMN, GMN, and the CPN. And we, due to the time limitation, we just select some module like this table. And from this table, we can see we use the AIC to identify which module is the best. From this table, the GMN with the three variable include the sea temperature and the sea salinity and 1 month stack of sea surface chlorophyll data. We suggest that this module will be the best module to predict the habitat of feeding ground of Abaco tuna. And the based data model we can understand the relative importance of environment factor for this best habitat. So here is the figure to show the suitable index curve of 3 environmental variables. So here we can summarize the optimal range of temperature, salinity, and the chlorophyll a 1 month stack for about 70.1 to 20 degrees Celsius and 35.3 to 35.9 PSU and 0.06 to 0.25 milligram per kilometer respectively when the SI value was more than 0.6. So we based on the 3 environment to build up the HSI mapping. So this is the SI mapping with monthly the standard CPV from April to August, and its average month data. So from this figure, we can see a higher Abaco was observed between the 35 to and 40 degree south than in other area. And then in July in June the habitat will shift to between 30 and 35 south in June, and in August, the higher abundance was mainly concentrated in the 30° south area. So average, we can see a higher average standard CBV with habitat larger than 0.6 was observed in the area between 30 and 40° south. This is the current predicted habitat distributed index in the southern Indian Ocean. So how about the projected climate change impact on the habitat shift? This slide shows the predicted climate change habitat measure based on the RCP 2.6 and 8.5 in 2050 and 2100. So from the left upper panel, we can see the highest HSI zone in the area of 30 to 40° south, and they have two longitude location about 50 to 70° east and 100 to 150° east. However, in 2100, the habitat zone was limited in the area between 30 to 35° Celsius, and the longitude will be between 60 and 70 in 2100. So we can see the different scenarios. The habitat maybe have a significant shift in 2050 and 2100. And for the worst condition at RCP 825 scenario, we can see the high CPV zone was shifted to the south of 35° south in 2050, and in 2020 we can see the high suitability index zone will be reached to the 40° south in 2100. So maybe we can see the projected climate change maybe influence the habitat will be shifted to south, especially the worst condition at RCP 8.5 scenario. So we do some discussion for the sea subtemperature salinity and the sea surface profile 1 month lag. Actually, these 3 months, these three environment are most important factor to influence the habitat of albacore tuna. So actually, we can, based on this sea subtemperature salinity and the chlorophyll one leg data, they have the key issue to shift the location of optimal environment from the April to August of 1998 to 2016. This is the projection to, based on the final module so this is use the optimize the environment like the SST located in the 19° ISO sun, and salinity for 35.5, and surface chlorophyll for 0.1 milligram per kilometer. So if we compare the condition to the 2050 and the 2100 under the RCP 2.6 and the 8.5 scenario. So here's maybe we can give a summary to the result. We can see the considerable HSI change was observed in both the 2050 and the 2100 under RCP 2.6, and for the worst the condition at RCP 825, we can see the area with an HSI larger than 0.6 was memory concentration in 50 to 100 degree east in 2050, and the slight east-west extension of HSI larger than 0.6 zone was observed in 2100. So here I give briefly the conclusions. Our results suggest the feeding ground of immature abaco. They are memory distributed in the area of 30 to 50 degree south in April to August. We based on this data and combine the satellite multi-spectral satellite data using the 3 module. Actually, the base module is the GMM S module with the 3 environmental variables, include sea surface temperatures, chlorophyll, and the salinity. And we can observe the optimal habitat module, and this module can show a positive association between the CPV and these 3 environment data when sea surface temperature ranged 16.5 to 20 degrees Celsius, and the chlorophyll range from the 0.06 to 0.25 milligram per kilometer, and the salinity range from 35.3 to 35.9. And we can see now the sustainable habitat index less than 0.6. The latitude shift was observed until 2050 under the RCP 2.6 and 8.5. However, shift high latitude was suggested in the high HSI zone in 2100. This results suggest a high latitude migration of immature abaco tuna, maybe influenced by the climate change. Thank you for your attention. This is my talk today. So any question or something can discuss? Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. 谢谢您 Prof. Lee. Very nice presentation, and about albacore is very how to say, that is important for Taiwan, right? As one of the main object in fisheries. And sometime I went to harbor, and I saw a lot of in Taiwan. I saw a lot of ship on there, and the fish catching by them is albacore. Okay, very nice presentation.
Yes.
Okay, participants all, let me take a break just a minute. I want to remind you about the question and answer session. you can use raise hand feature if you want to ask, and I will write on about that. On the other hand, you can write your question by writing in chat room, and then we can I will read it if the time is enough. Okay. Okay, the next session is for Mr. Jose Peralta. Where are you, Mr. Jose? Are you here? Hello, Mr. Jose Peralta.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you.
Had, power interruption a while ago, so I was lost. I have to change location and system, so I'm okay now.
Okay, it's okay. Hopefully the next will be will be okay. Okay, would you like to prepare your presentation and I will read your short CV?
Yes, already prepared.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jose Peralta, or we can call him. I get information that Mr. GP, Professor GP, right? Okay. Mr. GP is come from UP Visayas University, professor at Philippines, of course. Highest educational attainment from a Doctor of Philosophy, especially food process engineering from Texas, ENM University, Texas. And field of specialization is about marine natural product, fish processing and handling, and then food engineering, operation research, application, computational mathematics and process simulation. Other field of interest is about marine bioactive compound, functional food, process design, fish drying, fish hydrolysated. Okay, about the membership to professional organization, he is member of Philippine Ecological Society at Los Pinos, and member of how to say it, Rotary International District Miak Au Ilo, right? Okay, and then etc. Okay, maybe you can tell about yourself to audience about that. Okay, time is yours, Mr. GP.
I'm now sharing screen. Everybody can see the shared screen.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, good. How about the sound? Am I being heard?
It is okay.
Okay, good. So now, thank you for the introduction, Madam Moderator. And I would like to greet everybody a pleasant good morning, and especially to the officials of the government, my colleagues in the academe, to researchers and students alike who are attending this conference. Pleasant good morning from the Philippines. So my paper is about green tide occurrence in the coastal beaches of Boracay, Philippines. The Boracay Island is coined as a gateway to paradise. It is the northern part of Panay, Philippines. I'll show you later on where the location in the map is one of the sought-after tourist destination. It is frequently visited by foreigners, and practically all foods of each nation around the globe is served and could be tasted in one of the restaurants along the coastal beaches. So it is one of those destinations that is an international, so to speak, because you can have your favorite food, even if you are Italian, German, or even Turkish. Since it has become the favorite tourist destination, support services have been upgraded to provide the needed conducive and more pleasurable travel services. So this is the Philippines, where I came from, near the Philippines. And in the island of Panay, in the middle section of the country, on the northern part is the island of Boracay. And in that island, we have a 2 kilometer stretch of white beaches anchoring on station 1, 2, and 3. While on the other side, which is a little bit turbulent, so nobody is going there. It's only in this place that every tourists are coming. The influx of more people to the island created an environmental problem. The infrastructure to address solid and liquid waste as a result of tourist activities were in place, but enforcement of regulations seems to be involved. A central sewer system has been developed, wherein the big hotels are mandated to be part of these facilities. And the smaller cottages, especially in the station 3 areas, however, are adamant to use the said facilities as it will add to their cost of operation. Thus, dispose their waste the traditional way, untreated. It is our opinion that the very main cause of the Boracay green tide is a result of the traditional way of waste disposal. This is untreated waste. This organic waste seep through the sands and found their way to the coastal beaches. The problems of development has manifested itself as green tide. This algal growth prevents the full swimming enjoyment in the beaches along the coast. Is very unsightly, some of which are free floating, and its presence will consider the beaches as polluted. One could not enjoy swimming as the algae constantly gets entangled with the swimmer. This is the situation when it was pristine as of 2007. This is 2010. It's still okay. The beaches are clean. But in 2014, well, it's another story. As more people come to the island, of course, pollution will manifest itself. And in 2008, no less than our President of the Republic of the Philippines, President Rodrigo Duterte, ordered the closure of the island for 6 months from April 1, 2018 to September 30, 2018. It so happened that our project studying the green tide phenomenon got funded after the closure. So we can say that, perhaps the closure of the island will somehow clean itself. So that's the assumption. Anyway, in our sampling from December 2018 to February 2018, no green tide algal bloom has occurred. So it's basically clean because of the closure. What occurred are simply patches of algal growth that was ashore that are not in quantity but enough to take samples from. So this is where we took samples from the coastal beaches, and this is how it looked like. This is not green tide. These are uprooted algae from the ocean. And in March 2019, there were signs already. Since after the closure, again, tourists are now coming back to the island. And in March 2019, there were signs of algal species that are due to nutrient doping. These are species of Ulva clarata. However, these algal mass growth are not yet that massive and are still on the beach water as patches. Some are growing on rock substrate. If you can see on the picture, minor growth minor patches, not yet that massive.
Okay, we can see it.
So still okay, technically. You can still enjoy the beaches. However, the project, we're still collecting samples, and you can see on the background now, there are massive growth of the green tide. Just the same, since we are doing it the scientific way, we try to identify what the species of the green tide are. So some are unidentified ulva, SPP, hair-like species. Some are ulva clarata, and some are ulva lactuca, and some are ulva reticulata. I think the cause of the green tide phenomenon are a variety of factors. Some are due to water currents. If the water currents are prevalent, then there is steering, no accumulation of nutrients on the coastal areas. And time of the year, monsoon wind currents. In the Philippines, we have 2 monsoon wind currents. I will discuss later on. This is also perhaps weather turbulence, low pressure areas, typhoons, hurricanes, etc. Will make the coastal beaches clean because of the current caused by the typhoon. And then we also have climate cycles, El Nino, La Nina, and again, 1, 2, 3, and 4, the factors 1, 2, 3, and 4, you cannot control. You have to abide by the nature of things. Whereas the 5 and 6, again, tourists you can control. Facilities can be provided for wastewater treatment. So these are the things that can be done in order that the green tide will not develop and accumulate, and somehow will not occur at all. Data for water currents, you can get that. So I got this from earth-nullschool.net. It will show you level of water current as well as the intensity of the water currents. As said earlier, monsoon winds. There are 2 monsoon winds in the Philippines as a tropical location. We have the Amihan, or the northeast monsoon, or normally occurs at the end of October until May. And then the Habagat, or southwest monsoon, the reverse, will occur from June until October. As mentioned earlier, if the country is visited by the typhoons, no algal growth will occur. And in our sampling, at that time, El Nino is being experienced, so not so much rain, but rain is trickling. And El Nino phenomenon. El Nino means too much water, and then La Nina El Nino means not enough water, and then La Nina means too much water. And there is now an observation from scientists that it used to be this phenomenon occurs every 50 or 100 years. Now it is happening, the cycle is happening in 5 to 7 years. And during that time, we are conducting the project. It was El Nino. Again, as mentioned, if there are low pressure areas, the beaches will be clean because of the turbulence caused by the water currents. Therefore, the project is recommending that carrying capacity of the island, that means how many visitors can be accommodated. It can be counted actually, since every time you visit the island, you register. So the number of tourists can be controlled or could be controlled. At the same time, we are also recommending mandatory connection to the island sewer facilities, big or small, should be made as part of the island regulations. Of course, this is a political battle between the business people and the regulators. Simply because if they use the sewer, local tax will be imposed accordingly, and then it will increase their operation cost. At the same time, we are also recommending regular monitoring of the coastal water quality. If, like I've said, if during the monitoring activities it occurs that there are manifestations of the green tide, then the island or management should say to the business people, oh, we need to stop accepting visitors already because we are already tilt the balance of nature towards pollution. So these are the things that we thought will be better. The island, the community, the people, the businesses will be better off if they will now abide by our recommendations. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chippy. I will, how to say, I already write to remind about time to you, but you already finished your presentation.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Okay. Okay, that is very important for us to clean our environment in order to attend the tourists or something else. But would you like to write or to try to find that ulfa is very useful for medicine for cancer? Maybe you can try to find it.
It's like this. If the ulva is growing on
too much,
on the waste of people, then I wouldn't recommend using it for food. Okay, perhaps there is now a study in the Philippines in our institute counterpart, the Institute of Aquaculture. They use ulva as a feed ingredient of shrimps as well as tilapia. So, on that sense, it is recommended. But again, for ulva growing on waste of people, I am not recommending it for human use. For feed, it's okay.
Okay, thank you. It's just point of view and another point of view. Mr. Chippy, the next presenter, I will ask to Professor Rossita Shapawi. Okay, are you here? Thank you so much for your coming, Professor Chippy. Professor Rossita Shapawi, are you there?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Would you like to prepare your presentation and I will read your curriculum vitae?
Sure.
Miss, right? Professor Rossita Shapawi is come from Malaysia. She is a lecturer in University Malaysia Sabah, or we abbreviate it UMS. She is appointed as new director of the Borneo Marine Research Institute, IPMB, from 1st December. Ms. Dr. Rossita, who previously held the post of Deputy Director, Research and Innovation at the Institute, replaced Professor Dr. Salim Mustafa. And in addition, several new appointment in university already handled by her. Okay, maybe you can talk about yourself later because my information is not too much about you, Professor. Okay, and then time is yours with your screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Wahyu. Everyone can hear me very well?
Okay, I
Can you
can
see
hear
the
you.
slide? Can you see the slide?
Yes,
All right.
yes, we can.
Thank you so much again, Ibu Wahyu. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning to all. Before I start, I just want to take this opportunity to thank the organizer for ICoFMR 2021 for inviting me to share some of the information related to our research in University Malaysia Sabah. Thank you so much for opportunity to be part of this important conference. My name is Rossita. Maybe some correction on the introduction. I was the former director of Borneo Marine Research Institute. Now I am the dean for the postgraduate study center of University Malaysia Sabah. So,
thank you for the correction. I'm so sorry.
Okay, thank you so much anyway. So the topic that I will be discussing this morning is about sustainable aquafeeds for sustainable aquaculture industry. I noticed some of our speakers have been, talking or covered some aspect of sustainability, especially I think Mr. Patrick. So I will be also touching, but from the focus on aquaculture feeds. Okay, hang on. Okay, let's see the definition of sustainability. Brundtland Commission in 1987 defined sustainability as meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Of course, there are several definitions of sustainability, and some simplify it as enough for all forever, which is, a big task for everyone to maintain or to achieve the sustainability goals. Okay. I'm sure everyone here is very, very familiar with the 17 goals of SDG. I think everyone remember back in September 2015 when the UN summit launched this 2030 sustainable goal agenda, if you remember, and I'm sure in each of these goals we can contribute in one way or another into some extent. Of course, as far as aquaculture conference and fisheries, we focus on several goals, especially on number 14, life below water. But like shared by the previous speaker, I'm sure we can contribute also in other goals like climate change or even number 1, poverty, because for example, coastal aquaculture will help our coastal community to increase their livelihood. Okay, let's have a look at this trend of aquaculture industry. We know that this industry is one of the most fastest growing animal production industry to compensate the loss or stagnated production from wild fisheries for the last 30 years. And in 2014 alone, the aquaculture food fish production was valued at USD 160.2 billion, is about 73.8 million tons production. And about 70% of all aquaculture production is direct fed species, meaning they need to be fed, of which 68% are dependent on commercially produced feed products and consume an estimated 39.6 million tons of aquafeed in 2012. So as you can see in this graph, the aquafeed market has grown exponentially in the last decade and expected to continue to grow. Still on the aquafeed market growth is the global aquafeed market is expected worth USD 71.6 billion by 2025. Yeah, the projection growing at a compound annual growth rate of 7.2% during the forecast period. So the growth of this market can be attributed to the development of innovative products such as, the alternative protein sources in the aquafeed market, and market growth in Asia Pacific, for example, can be attributed to the flourishing shrimp and also fish trade within the region, as well as the involvement in the international market. Traditionally, fish meal and fish oil are the most commonly used feed ingredient due to their, as far as fish meal concerned, they are, known for good quality protein, especially in terms of amino acid, essential amino acid, and also for fish oil, for contributing the essential omega-3 highly unsaturated fatty acid. So that is the reason why until now, especially in marine fish feed, it's very hard for us to, completely replace fish meal with other ingredient. And we know also that fish meal and fish oil are produced from wild harvested fish, which could be, directly used by us also. So due to the demand for the feed industry, animal feed industry, and also by us, these two commodities are very highly priced. And as we know, our fish meal fishery stocks, such as the anchovy from Southeast Asia, Southeast Pacific, and also the herring stock, which is also extracted for fish meal production in the North Atlantic, are considered fully exploited. Okay, if you see here, in aquaculture, we have different species of different feeding behavior, the omnivorous, the carnivorous. If you can see here, of course, worldwide, tilapia and carp are fish that are mostly produced, especially in Asia. When it comes to the use of fish meal in the diets of different species, as you can see, due to the nature of nutrient requirement for, essential fatty acid like omega-3, for example, or even for good protein, amino acid, that several issues, digestibility, palatability. We know that the marine carnivorous fish require more fish meal in the diet compared to the omnivorous or even the herbivorous cultured fish. For example, here, eels, represented the highest consumption of fish meal in their diet, and then followed by marine fishes, and also the salmonids feed. And if you notice, the herbivores require the least amount of fish meal in the diet, because now it is a trend to develop non-fish meal diet, especially those are not strict carnivorous, such as the tilapia and even the carp. And here the example is milkfish and also catfishes. So what can we do? There are several strategies that can be implemented. Number one, for example, we should reduce or stop using fish to feed our farm fish. We know that Southeast Asia especially are heavily reliant on trash fish. In the past, I think 5 to 10 years ago, people are heavily dependent on using trash fish to feed their farm fish, especially those marine fish in cage culture. And then the use of sustainable alternative ingredient, preferably locally produced ingredient, should be considered in the formulation of our aquafeed to help reduce dependency on fish-based ingredients. And third is we very much recommending the use of species-specific feeds so that the cultured fish will receive the optimum nutrient, and it will produce what do you call efficient FCR, and also help to achieve maximum profit in your farm. Okay, let's have a look at number one in terms of reducing or stop using fish to feed farm fish. Of course, there are certain conditions that is not yet possible, because certain stage of fish like broodstock of certain fish species, they still required fresh food fish like fish or even squid, the fresh food, to support their reproductive performance and at certain stage. So, but in other stages like grow out, as much as possible, we don't want to rely on trash fish anymore, because trash fish, like I said before, is also demanded or used by us. So if you look at the term trash fish, it is defined as the low value fish, mostly a pelagic fish, but in most cases, they are not necessarily low value, like I said, because people are also consume it for our daily, food as a consumer. So feeding fish with fish is something that is not sustainable, especially for long term. So this is what we are trying to reduce or totally stop using it in our farm. So in this discussion, I will share with you several ideas, from different people, especially those working in aquaculture. One of them is the metric or the concept with fish in, fish out. Let's have a look. What are the disadvantages of using trash fish? We know trash fish is, unreliable because the supply depending on the season, and this normally will result in fluctuation in price because of, different season might have different species of fish, and then some season and not that, cannot supply the same quantity or quality of fish, which make them the price is not consistent. And of course, when we use trash fish, you will end up with very, very inefficient FCR, normally higher than 5 compared when you're using a formulated feed in your farm. I'm talking about marine fish farming, because freshwater, we don't normally use trash fish. And also trash fish can be a source of pathogen, and we can end up with a serious disease outbreak in your farm. So this is another important issue that need to be considered when you are using trash fish. Of course, when it comes to storage, we need refrigeration to store the trash fish. And we know in terms of sustainability, this trash fish will result in the exploitation of our pelagic fish. And of course, when we use trash fish in our cage, for example, this will easily cause the water quality to deteriorate, because when fish like grouper eating the trash fish, they will end up with 30%, around 30% uneaten and settle to the bottom, which is very unhealthy for the environment. As a result of that, the industry for the past at least 5 years are now really seriously considering using formulated feed, which is a very good news. Farmers, especially small farmers, are now willing to switch from trash fish to formulated aqua feeds, knowing the advantage of using this, what they call pellet. So when we use formulated feed, we know that the amount of nutrient can be manipulated according to the species, according to the stage of the fish, for example. And of course, you will yield a better FCR than the trash fish. the food conversion ratio normally much better than when you use trash fish. You can get easily below 2.0, 1.5, or even 1 in certain species, or lower than that. So in contrast to trash fish, they have longer shelf life. You don't need refrigeration. You just need well ventilation, storeroom, for example, to store your feeds. But still, using formulated feed, we are not without issue. We still have issue because most of the feed formulation, especially for marine carnivorous fish, are heavily rely on fish meal as a source of protein, and also fish oil as a source of lipid due to their requirement for certain essential nutrients, for example, the essential amino acid and also essential fatty acid that can be found mostly in these two ingredients. So these are the issues with formulated aquafeeds. Okay, I just want to share with you the concept of fish in, fish out, which was discussed back in 2008 when the first time Taken was published a paper on this metric. Based on the argument that on salmonid diets, salmonid feed, whereby typical salmonid diet contain about 20% fish oil and 30% fish meal, whereby if we assume 1 ton of fish produces 50 kg of fish oil and 225 kilogram of fish meal, thus 150 kg of meal is wasted for each ton of forage fish used to make salmon feed, because 50 kg of fish makes 250 kilogram feed based on this one, because of the assumption of 20% fish oil and 30% fish meal in the formulation. So, which then requires the addition of 75 kg of fish meal. So, under this scenario, 150 kg of fish meal, if we deduct 225 minus 75, equal to 150, from 1 ton of forage fish is lost. This is according to the paper, which is I know it's quite sort of controversial, assuming the FCR is 1.25. Assuming FCR is 1.25, so this amount of feed can produce only 200 kilogram of salmon biomass. So according to this paper, fish in, fish out of fish to salmon is 5:1, which is, you know, is a very unsustainable and very wasteful. Of course, this model has been discussed, critiqued by many papers after that, but to me, the message is still relevant, very relevant, and very interesting following discussion after this particular paper, because there are, of course, there are flaws in this concept, because in actual condition, fish meal will not be wasted, and we know that this is the formulation, a typical formulation for salmonid, whereby in other fish formulation, other fish feed formulation, we don't use that high oil or lipid. For example, in shrimp, we don't need up to 20%. It's less than half of it. So it may not work on other species, and it's not it's not correct to all species. So if you were to see what happened next in this paper, for example, Jackson 2009, he proposed that instead of 5:1, they proposed 1 unit of forage fish to 2 units of farm fish, which is a positive one to me, and followed by a critique by this paper by Lashoff and Griffin 2014 and Testra 2015, which is so-called trying to develop further the concept from this paper on this metric of fish in, fish out. So what I'm trying to share here is This is one of the major concern in aquaculture feed industry, because we don't want the number of fish that we use to feed the farm fish is more than the number of farm fish that we produce through aquaculture, which is very, very, unsustainable if we continue doing that. Okay, the second strategy is to use sustainable or alternative ingredients in formulated feed. So what have been done so far? In terms of protein, we use plant-based protein. Several ingredients have been evaluated. For example, soybean meal, canola meal, algae meal, you name it. There are many studies have been conducted to evaluate different plant-based protein as a source of protein in aquaculture feeds. Of course, terrestrial animal-based protein like poultry byproduct, insect meal, meat and bone meal, several types of meal have also been evaluated in our effort to reduce dependency on fish meal. And in terms of lipid sources, we also, the researchers all over the world have been evaluated different types of vegetables oil, soybean oil, palm oil, canola oil, and animal lard or even algae oil. Okay. Like I said, when we use formulated feed, the same thing goes when we use alternative protein. There are also issues that need to be solved and, becoming a challenge to the aquafeed industry, because we have issue like palatability. Soybean is not as palatable as fish meal. Fish meal is actually the so-called perfect ingredient, whereby this is the closest nutrient profile to the fish itself. So we have issue with the feed intake when you use too high alternative ingredients such as soybean, for example. Fish will not like it. And then not to mention digestibility, we have also issue because the nature of plant protein, which is not as digestible as the fish meal and also as the animal-based ingredient. Of course, nutrient deficiency is also another challenges. Many alternative protein are deficient in certain essential nutrients. For example, in soybean, methionine, lysine are the limiting nutrient in the ingredient, making it difficult for the industry to increase the inclusion in the formulation. And of course, the presence of anti-nutritional factors. There are different anti-nutritional factors in different ingredients that need to be addressed. Okay, so in general, when we are considering alternative ingredients in the formulation and before they can be commercialized, criteria such as nutritionally adequate must be fulfilled. It must be digestible, did not significantly impact growth or health status, palatable to the target aquaculture species, scalable, of course, to commercial levels, have lower environmental impacts, and of course, most importantly, at the end of the day, it has to be competitive in terms of price, because the aquaculture industry need to grow, need to gain profit in order for them to continue the business. Okay,
Excuse me, Professor.
Yeah.
I want to remind about the time.
Okay,
I
I'll
think
speed up.
time is...
Okay, the third one is the use of specific species feed. As much as possible, we encourage the use of specific feed or different stage of fish, or your cultured fish has to use different types of feed, because we know that Okay, if we don't give the fish what they're supposed to get, if it's below optimum level, they will not support the good growth or survival of the farm fish. And if it's more than what they're supposed to get, it will be a waste. It will cause pollution also. Okay, some research in our institute at University Malaysia Sabah, we have done nutritional requirement of certain species. We tried replacement of fish meal and fish oil with alternative ingredients. And of course, we also evaluate different feeding attractants to solve the issue with palatability when using alternative protein like soybean meal, for example. Just to share you, several papers have been published on different protein requirement, for example, lipid requirement, different alternative ingredient, poultry byproduct, vegetable oil, a feather meal, or even seaweed. We are using microalgae meal. And of course, insect meal is currently ongoing in our lab. And fish byproduct also. And these are the example of papers on feed attractant to improve the acceptance of fish on a diet based on alternative ingredient. So in conclusion, to achieve more sustainable but cost-effective aquaculture industry, more R&D efforts are needed on feed formulation and balanced nutrition, a sound business model and regional cooperation, and sustainability are essential for success in the Asian aquafeed industry. So this sector should consider a holistic view on sustainability and acknowledge the trade-offs that come with different feed ingredients and formulation. Thank you so much for your time. Sorry.
Thank you, Professor Rossita. I'm so sorry to remind about the time. Okay, directly, I want to Mr. Edi Susilo, Bapak Associate Professor Edi Susilo from Brawijaya to prepare your presentation, Bapak. Okay. Before that, I will short curriculum vitae about him. Bapak Edi Susilo is a senior lecturer at Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Science, Universitas Brawijaya since 1985. His field study is especially about sociology, focusing on coastal communities. He teaches fisheries and marine sociology, poverty, and social capital course. Started his career as a researcher at Center for Social Science Research at LPPM since 1986. Okay, he already become a site advisor for COFIS project at 2003 until 2005. Okay, currently he is a member of Center for Civilization Studies LPPM Universitas Brawijaya. Proudly for Pak Edi, would you like to present? Okay, time is yours.
Okay. Thank you, moderator.
You're welcome.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Pak Edi. For the time, would you like to make it simple, right? Thank you. I'm so sorry.
Okay, it's okay. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and Marine and Socioeconomic Department of Faculties of Fisheries and Marine Science, Brawijaya University. In today's conference, I would like to talk about the long story of fisheries policy in Indonesia and how those policies have impact to the traditional fisheries. The two issues, poverty and fishermen, are closely connected. Many researchers state that fishermen are often identified with poverty. Recently, the poverty condition was getting worse as an impact of the pandemic COVID-19. Okay. The Indonesia status a maritime country
seemingly does not guarantee that its fishermen live in a good condition. This do not mean that the government has left fishermen in poor condition, but poverty has not been overcome even though various policies have been carried out. In the last few decades, history records a change in the orientation of fisheries policy in Indonesia. From the colonial era to Japanese occupation during Second World War, from beginning the Indonesian independence to the industrialization of fisheries. History records are change in fishery policy orientation. And in the we can to compare with 1980s and 80s. In 1970s, fishermen get benefit from working with catcher. The government income is in fishery sector has increased, but in the 80s, the lease system abolished. Income in the fishery sector has decreased. As the impact, fishermen are getting pressure at the result structure changes. They are getting closer to the coastal area. What is the factor? Factor is like the patron-client relationship. There are many examples to patron-client in Indonesia, maybe Punggabassawi and the South Sulawesi, or Pangamba-Amban in Madurese, and Bakul Ceklan in Pacitan, is the south coast in the East Java. However, the factor system has been abolished in the fishery sector since 1806. As the result, traditional fisheries who dominate the structure of capture fisheries in Indonesia have been increasingly pushed to the coastal area. They become a burden of the carrying capacity of coastal ecosystem. And I have to hypothesis maybe is the one of the cause of the poverty in the fishing communities. During the Japanese occupation in Second World War, the fisheries policy was focusing on fulfilling the logistic of the Japanese army. All associations related to fisheries activities were merged into the organization called ICoFMR. This organization is focused on collecting fish and providing fish for Japanese soldiers. After that, the destruction of the fisheries occurred significantly during the independence of Indonesia until the early 1970s. In the mid-1980s, the government implemented a fisheries modernization policy. This policy has succeeded in increasing the production, consumption, and export of fishery commodities. However, fisheries modernization policies also result in resources destruction and conflict over resources dispute. And government was depend trawling with the presidential decree number 39, 1930. In addition, not only modernization fisheries, but also the Indonesian government developed several policies to introduce natural tourism. But like this, the Silbanda, Sil Bakatobi, Sil Morotai, Sil Komodi, and Sil Raja Ampat. But that also Indonesian government developed several policies international tourism. It's not the effect for the traditional fisheries. Fisheries policy continues to evolve through time with a focusing on sustainable of natural resources and the welfare of fishing communities. More traditional fisheries is the have in the technology less than over 3.0. Thus, the government opportunity
is the 4.0. So this is a little opportunity to traditional fisher to follow government policy. And some fishermen can follow government policy, but most to the don't. Also, I think it's the traditional fishermen is still on the runway. Of Buch's idea of dualism economic becomes one of the alternatives in developing traditional fishermen in Indonesia. A dual economy is the existence of two separate economic sectors within one country, divided by different level of development, technology, and different patterns of demand. Dual economies are common in less developed countries, where one sector is geared to local needs and another to the global export market. So this picture is represent how the fisheries development policies in Indonesia was changing by time for the time. Thus, economic dualism is needed to ensure that all actors involved in fisheries activities impact the development policies. Based on Bucha economic dualism, we provide two recommendations to reduce poverty in traditional fishing communities. First, traditional fishermen are directed to meet the demand of the particular market segment and must be protected from large-scale fisher modernization. And the second, social adapter, also known as accommodative institution. We make the model in the 3 years to model the accommodative institution, or called the social adapter, are analogies between linked national interest and the need of the local communities. Social adapter will be able to reduce social conflict and ensure that development goal can be achieved. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, moderator.
Okay, thank you, Pak Edi, for your presentation. That's very nice presentation about how to encourage people and something else. I'm sorry about the time, so I will call Budia from Puji. Where are you, Budia? Okay,
Yeah,
I'm sorry about the time. This is time is
It's
yours.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Bu Wahyu. Bu Wahyu, I will explain in bahasa. It's okay ya, Bu?
It's okay, Bu.
Oke, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang dan salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Pertama-tama saya ucapkan terima kasih kepada Fakultas Perikanan dan Kelautan yang telah mengundang Buci di International Conference ini ya, untuk Fishermen and Marine. Oke, kan ada istilah Bu, tak kenal maka tak sayang, maka izinkan saya perkenalan terlebih dahulu.
Iya, maaf tadi saya nggak sempat.
Nggak apa, Bu.
Okay.
Perkenalkan, nama saya Dewi Rahayu, biasa dipanggil Dewi, dan saat ini saya bekerja di Buki Indonesia sebagai aplikasi spesialis. Seperti itu. Saya izin share screen ya, Bu ya.
Silakan.
Iya, baik. Share screen saya sudah terlihat ya, Bu?
On the way kayaknya.
On the way. Sudah apa belum?
Oke.
Oke, baik. Terima kasih. Selaras hal ini selaras dengan cita-cita besar bangsa Indonesia ya Bu, yang tertuang dalam landasan dasar negara, yaitu mencerdaskan kehidupan bangsa. Maka dari itu Buci Indonesia berusaha memberikan kontribusi dan kolaborasi dalam segmen akademia dengan mempersembahkan teknologi dan inovasi terbaik di bidang saintifik agar lulusan terbaik kita dapat bersaing di kancah nasional maupun internasional. Seperti itu. Oke, introduction sedikit tentang Buki, seperti itu. Jadi, apa sih yang terlintas pertama kali di benak Bapak dan Ibu sekalian kalau membaca tulisan Swiss Made? Mungkin yang pertama kali terlintas itu adalah Swiss itu identik dengan jam Rolex, Mbak. Jadi, suatu negara di mana di belahan Eropa tempat jam tangan berkualitas dunia diproduksi oleh watchmaker yang expert di bidangnya. Bagi produsen Swiss, kualitas adalah identitas, kualitas adalah DNA bagi kami yang akan selalu kami pegang teguh dan kami perjuangkan. Maka dari itu hal ini selaras dengan tagline Buki, yaitu quality in your hand. Karena kami ingin mendeliver kualitas yang baik kepada para customer Buki di seluruh dunia, dimanapun berada, agar merasa aman dan nyaman saat menggunakan produk kami, tanpa ada rasa was-was dan khawatir akan aspek safety. Karena kita tahu di industri di laboratorium saintifik, kita bekerja dengan bahan-bahan kimia berbahaya. Kalau alat yang kita pakai tidak memberikan kualitas yang baik, maka dapat menyebabkan insiden, resiko insiden itu dapat terjadi. Maka dari itu, safety is priority bagi kami. Ini adalah company profile dari headquarter kami yang ada di Switzerland.
Buki is a leading solution provider in laboratory technology with high-end customizable products. The continuous improvement of existing systems and the development of new units and methods provides safe, easy-to-use products. Your application should precisely match your unique requirements. We support you by providing feasibility studies specifically tailored to your needs. Spray drying with highly flexible particle formation for lab scale. Extraction reference methods for fat determination and trace analysis. Gel-Dol reference methods for nitrogen protein determination. NIR for real-time determination of proximate. And encapsulation to accurately define beads and capsules. We have the technological expertise and decades of experience to provide you with competent support worldwide. Our main laboratories in China, India, and Switzerland support you in different time zones. This includes the support via phone, email, providing applications, and customized training. Basic and advanced user training, including theory and hands-on sessions, will extend your knowledge, optimizing your productivity when implementing and applying your Buki solution. For more information, visit www.buki.com/applications.
Oke, baik, tadi adalah company profile dari headquarter kami yang ada di Switzerland, seperti itu. Jadi selain kita ada training untuk lokal training di Indonesia, misalkan ada beberapa customer yang menginginkan advance training, kita bisa melaksanakannya di Swiss karena ini pandemik ya, semoga pandemi segera berakhir, jadi kita bisa segera traveling around the world, gitu ya, seperti itu. Sedangkan Buki Indonesia sendiri merupakan affiliate company dari Buki Switzerland. Kita ketahui bersama bahwa Indonesia terdiri dari gugusan pulau, baik dari Sabang, membentang dari Sabang sampai Merauke. Untuk meningkatkan kualitas dan layanan Buki Indonesia, kami memiliki satu kantor pusat di Tangerang, dan memiliki 2 kantor representative office, yang pertama di Medan untuk coverage area Sumatera, dan di Surabaya untuk coverage Indonesia bagian timur. Baik, tadi kan sudah berkenalan dengan saya, seperti itu. Saya akan menjelaskan sedikit overview tentang buku produk mulai dari set 1 sampai set 11. Jadi buku memiliki 11 lini produk. Mulai dari set 1 kita memiliki rotary evaporator. Jadi kalau Bapak dan Ibu sekalian ini ingin memisahkan solvent dengan ekstraknya, kita bisa menggunakan rotary evaporator. Seperti itu. Kemudian di set 2 kita punya industrial rotavapor. Kalau di set 1 tadi ini adalah skalanya laboratorium. Kalau yang di set 2 ini skalanya adalah skala industri. Jadi feedingnya kita bisa sampai 20 liter sampai 50 liter. Kemudian dari ekstrak yang kita punya, biasanya memang dipakai untuk di natural product, itu developer R&D. Kita ingin merubah sampel liquid menjadi sampel powder, kita bisa menggunakan spray drying dan enkapsulasi. Jadi sampelnya kita alirkan lewat pompa, kemudian kita spray melalui nozzle dan dikontakkan dengan udara panas, dan hasil akhirnya adalah powder. Kemudian di set 4 kita punya melting point. Jadi melting point ini fungsinya adalah mendeteksi atau menganalisa titik leleh dari suatu material. Dengan tahu titik lelehnya, kita bisa tahu substance tersebut itu puritis, murni, atau ada impuritisnya. Kemudian di set 5 kita punya parallel evaporator. Kalau tadi yang set 1 itu adalah single evaporasi. Kalau menggunakan parallel evaporator, kita bisa menguapkan sampel secara bersamaan sekaligus dalam satu batch. Jadi misalkan kita punya sampelnya 6 atau 12 sampel. Hal ini akan lebih efektif dan efisien di waktu. Kemudian di set 6 kita punya freeze drying. Jadi freeze drying itu fungsinya adalah dia mengeringkan sampel dengan teknologi sublimasi. Jadi memang dipakai untuk sampel-sampel yang tidak tahan terhadap panas. Itu contohnya adalah sampel-sampel bakteri, sampel maupun sampel vaksin. Kalau untuk industri aquafit maupun aquamarine, biasanya kan kita tahu komoditas ikan itu kalau ditransportasikan dalam kondisi basah itu kita butuh cold storage ya. Kalau kita awetkan ikan-ikan ini dengan menggunakan teknologi spray drying, itu akan lebih mudah pada saat proses transportasi dan storage-nya gitu. Jadi lebih hemat storage.
I'm sorry, Bu Dewi.
Iya.
Okay, I think time is enough. Maybe for the solution, you can share your web in order to make audience to see your product. I'm so sorry.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. It's okay.
And for other speakers, I said thank you so much for your coming and your participative to this conference. And Pak Edi, you have one question in chat room. Maybe you can answer by chat, private chat to Bapak Sumarsono, Pak Edi. Okay. And for audience all, I'm as moderator, Wahyu Andayani. I'm so sorry about the time is up, and very nice to hear your presentation all. I want to talk much, but a lot, but time is up. Okay, next I will give the session back to Mbak Jessica. Where is Mbak Jessica?
I'm here.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Wahyu, for conducting our plenary session. And thank you to all plenary invited speakers. It was very interesting and insightful. Ladies and gentlemen, our next session is certificate awarding, and this session will be conducted by our chairperson. Please welcome Mr. Rifki Agung Lestariadi, SPI, MBA, PhD. Mr. Rifki, the screen is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to extend my gratitude to all speakers today. First, for Mr. Kusdiantoro from Minister of Marine Affairs and Fisheries. Sorry, I will Okay, first for Mr. Kusdiantoro from the Minister of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, and the second for Dr. Suseno Sukoyono, Senior Advisor CTC, and then for Mr. Patrick Caleo, Director Asia Pacific MSc. Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick. Next, for Professor Ming-An, Vice President of National Taiwan Ocean University. Thank you, Professor Lee. For Professor Dr. Jose Peralta from Visayas University, Philippines. And Professor Rossita Shapawi, University Malaysia, Sabah. Thank you, Professor Rossita. And the last, for Associate Professor Edi Susilo from University of Brawijaya. Thank you very much, Professor Edi. And I wish this is the beginning of our collaboration, and I hope that we can collaborate in the next, in other agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ricky, for conducting awarding certificate. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of our morning session. We would like to express our gratitude to all the speakers, moderator, and participants that have joined this conference. We will have a break for 1 hour until 1:20 and followed by parallel session. For the parallel session, we will be using the same Zoom link, and each room will be divided using breakout rooms. We have 6 breakout rooms and 56 presenters. The first breakout room is for aquaculture with Ms. Alia as moderator with 9 presenters. The second breakout room is for aquatic resources and fish processing with Mr. Ekwan as moderator with 11 presenters. The third breakout room is for capture fisheries with Mr. Muammar as moderator with 9 presenters. The fourth breakout room is for aquaculture and fisheries biotechnology with Ms. Ratno as moderator with 10 presenters. The fifth breakout room is for marine science with Ms. Tian as moderator with 8 presenters. Last but not least, the sixth breakout room is for socio-economic of fisheries and marine with Ms. Chandra as moderator with 9 presenters. And some rules for presenters in parallel session are you have to rename your Zoom name with the datamine format as you can see on the screen. You have to turn off your microphone unless you are speaking. And last but not least, the duration for your presentation is 7 minutes and 3 minutes for question and answer sessions. Participants are welcome to watch and support our presenter with the same Zoom link as this one, and you are able to choose among 6 breakout rooms. Okay, I will leave you with a quote from Professor Feynman. Be humble, be teachable, the universe is bigger than your view of universe. There's always room for new ideas. Humility is necessary for growth. Please do enjoy your break, and we will see you again in this Zoom at 1:20 p.m. Thank you.
Universitas Brawijaya is one of the most favorite campus destinations in Indonesia.
you.